Hi, it's Matt with Intergalactic Herald. Welcome to a special episode. Actually, decided to finally get around to having guests on my podcast. So I'm pleased to introduce for this one, Beyond the Horizon. We're going to actually do what I'm going to call Year in Review 2024 to use all the modern thing, not the 2620 as Beyond the Horizon does. But anyway, so we're going to do a chat today. We're going to go through the highlights of Star Atlas this past year, all the way from January all the way up till December, and we'll go through each things and kind of give you our thoughts on it. And so, without further ado, let me introduce Beyond the Horizon to give you for those who don't know who he is, which I'm sure most people listening to this do, give him a chance to introduce himself, and then we'll go ahead and get into the meat of the discussion, which again is going through each of the kind of topics of Star Atlas this past year. So, Beyond the Horizon, nice to actually talk to you in real time.
Yeah, what's up, Matt? And what is up, captains and cadets, muds, onies, and oosters? Hello, everyone out there in podcast land. I'm happy to be here, man. Love listening to your podcast every
Cool.
single week. I hope many people just keep on discovering it and your channel keeps on growing because it's a great way to catch up on the end of every single week on what's been going on. I love it. And then your views recently on Starbase has been phenomenal. So,
Oh,
yeah,
cool. Thanks.
congratulations that you've been going for a long time now. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Well, hey, you're my now a second interview, so I also appreciate that. I've been saying every time I want to have
No
ghosts,
problem,
and
man.
yeah, it's always well, as I've said many times on the podcast, I get too busy with other things. So, anyways, hey, but before we forget, I do want to make sure to give shout outs to there. So, where can people find you? I know you're on YouTube. You're a X guy. I'm gonna keep calling it Twitter till the end. But where should people find you if they want to check out your content?
Yeah, if you type in Beyond the Horizon Star Atlas, I pop right up all the time. And it's Beyond the Horizon 2620 on YouTube is my full name of my channel. And then it is BTH 2620 at BTH 2620, I should say, on X or Twitter X, which is kind of half my channel. I have about half the followers on X. I'd love to see that grow because I put out a comic strip there and I do
Yes.
a ton of little 2-minute content that I don't put on my YouTube channel. So yeah. So both of those are like my dual channels, I guess you could say.
Cool, cool. Well, I'll make sure to put direct links, so people who I have a terrible time typing stuff in when people are reading it. But hey, the internet's all about linking, so I'll make sure to put those in the
Right.
descriptions for both podcasts, and then this one, of course, gets distributed to YouTube also. And as people who follow me, you'll get in the newsletter and auto my website and all that good stuff that I do. So, anyway, so yeah, let's get into the big, and there are quite a number. So, what I did is I went through my weekly news recap. So again, people who follow me know that you can sign up to my an email newsletter to get a weekly recap, which I typically talk about on the podcast too. So I went back through all those, which is nice to have access to on my website, and pulled out, I want to say not everything, but definitely the highlights, definitely the major milestones that Star Atlas did this past year. And so our goal is just to kind of go through those. We'll quickly summarize them and then kind of give you both our thoughts on that as we go through. And hopefully this is a great end of year listen for you listeners out there. So without further ado, going off the list, actually going to jump into 2023 in December only because, as we now found 2 years in a row now, the team likes to release stuff right before they go on their winter break. So late in December 2023, but we didn't really experience much of it until the first part of the year. They did release a new showroom back then. Don't remember the numbers, and it probably doesn't matter what they called it back then because they're calling them whatever they want to now. They reduced the faction fleet emissions, and as I actually remember on December 25th, at least that's when I got involved. You were in it before me. Puri, the coin, came
Yeah,
out
the
too.
Fury of the Coin. Yep, the
Yeah,
Fury of the
so we're
Coin.
actually a year into Imperi's existence too. But again, I think you did a video where you were doing that. But anyway, so those were the big things that came out. We'll call it late in the year, first of the year there. So I guess I mean, yeah, I'll hand it off to you to kind of give your thoughts and impacts on those things.
Yeah, I'll just touch on the Fury real fast
Mhm.
because we're mostly talking about Star Atlas, but Fury was pretty cool because God's outro was he made a Santa coin and a coal coin as a meme coin
Oh,
joke.
didn't even
Yeah,
know
and he
that.
did like this like little like, I don't know, he did this funny little thing on X where people could ask for coins, and he pretty much, I don't know how he did it, but he flipped a coin basically to decide whether you get Santa tokens in your wallet or you get coal tokens in your wallet. And so it was pretty funny, and a lot of people liked it. And then he actually messaged me. He said I was, I think, the first person he ever messaged, and he's like, hey, like my coal coin, I'm gonna do a Puri token, because Puri had just become like a really funny meme throughout Star Atlas. And yeah, and that was, Signal got involved, and that is the coin that we still have, and the guys are still creating on. So that was a, yeah, that was a, it was essentially supposed to be like a Christmas present, and I think it came out like it was actually released maybe the day of Christmas, or the day like a couple days after Christmas. It was definitely Christmas break, because I remember being home and
Yeah.
all
Yep.
the hubbub about it. So it was a lot of fun. So that was the Puri coin, and then yeah, the I was trying to look up the numbers actually of that new showroom, but that showroom, if boy, it that was the one I think where they released all the ships, right? All the ships were flyable, or was that the previous one? And this
Oh,
was the one where the you actually, I think it that could have been the previous one, but what I definitely know that it released was where you had the first person shooter was implemented into the showroom. And then
oh,
a couple of
really?
the
That was
different
that
race,
one, huh?
yeah, a couple of the different race modes, I believe. So, and then that led to the Surge event,
Yep.
coming shortly after,
Coming
because a
sure.
lot of people were practicing on the, on that like little first person shooter, which is pretty rough, and it had the funny
Hmm.
little rag dolls, and it was actually really, like the AI, that you had to go fight against was like kind of quirky
Oh,
and stuff
right.
like
Yeah, it
that,
was
because
only
it's
AI
stuck in
based. Yep.
corners,
Yep.
and but sometimes it was like you got killed with a one shot, so it was all over the place. But it's so much better now.
Yeah.
They definitely used an AI learning to have that, the antagonist that you fight there,
Oh,
in those little in that practice area, like become a little bit smarter. So
yeah.
yeah, so I
Well, and
know
that's
that that was a
actually,
big part of it. So
yeah. And actually, that was an interesting thing. I totally forgot about that initial shooter where you were just playing with bots. Because now I kind of vaguely have this recollection of Dom doing some sort of Twitch stream during Christmas or something. But I
yeah,
can't.
yeah, he was
Yeah.
killing it. Yeah,
Yeah.
because I think it was like, they were giving a prize to whoever could beat Dom's score. And Dom was like,
Oh,
someone
score
would get
based.
really close and Dom would get like 48 kills. And then someone else would get really close. And then I think he got all the way up to like 71 kills, if I remember correctly. It was somewhere
Oh,
around there,
wow.
maybe even in the 80s. Yeah. So yeah, that was a lot of fun. I watched a couple of his live streams. So good
Cool.
stuff.
Cool. Yeah. Now, one
Yeah.
interesting impact, looking back now a year, one, they release another UE5 version now. Again, we'll get into that, a year later. But this cadence of once a year, that's kind of intriguing. I hadn't really put two and two together until I put this list together. The other fascinating thing is I had the thing where the faction fleets emissions reduced, but that still exists. And I don't think
Yeah.
anyone would have guessed a year later we'd still be having passive income in score or faction fleet, whichever
Right.
one call it.
Right. I'm not too, I mean, it's been reduced, what, 66%,
Yeah,
or
yeah,
something like
it's
that. I'm
really
not
low
too sure
now.
how anyone's actually making any type of profit, because I would think that the, whatever, of the R4 that you have to supply the fleets would be,
Yeah,
outweighing the amount of Atlas that you'd be making. But a lot of people are still in it, apparently.
yep.
So
And I'm the
yeah,
first to admit
maybe
I
it's,
am, and it's because it's
yeah,
so
you are.
simple.
Yeah.
I just have to click it in the morning
Yeah.
and I get some Atlas, so it's
Yeah.
I'll admit I'm lazy with my big ships or small ships. I guess they're not big. Yeah.
One
Anyways,
quick
okay,
little
moving on to
correction.
the oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say I was peeking on my videos because it's a nice little timeline for me. Yeah.
Oh
So
yeah,
the
yeah.
flyable ships all came out. Yeah, they all came out like midsummer, and then that winter release right before Christmas was like where we can bot battle, and then we had the extra race
Gotcha.
modes.
So that was
So
this
yeah,
shooter
yeah,
one. Cool.
yeah. So
Well, moving
we had
on
like two
now.
releases last year.
Yeah. Officially into 2024, we got in January the metagravity stress test. So that actually makes more sense that they release the shooter, or basically the ability to be in it, walk around. I guess we've always been able to walk, but have more. And then in January they did the metagravity stress test. Now, for people who don't remember what or don't know what metagravity is the underlying technology that Star Atlas is partnering with that will allow for the multi user instances. And if I remember correctly, this is the game changer compared to current games. So like the Fortnite and others that are limited by hundreds of people, Metagravity could support thousands or even more. And I thought I remember them mentioning even tens of thousands. So we did a
Yeah, it was
stress
tens of thousands.
test,
Yeah.
and I'm trying to remember again. I can never do it during the day, but it was successful in the sense that I think they hit a good number, but they didn't hit the number they were hoping for. Kind of now it's again, it's a year ago. Our brains just can't remember all this stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, that was the first one, and I remember I joined, I think it might have been two takes or one very long take, because I just remember I joined once, and then I was like, oh, I can go around and shoot people, and I didn't realize that no one was shooting each other. And
Oh,
and there was like a spawn-in point, and I thought, I was like, why are all these people all stuck in this one area? I didn't realize it was like a spawn-in point. I was just killing people while they spawned in. Later on, I was listening to Ray Veazey from the Nomads, like listening to his live stream, and he's like, oh my God, someone's shooting everyone as they're spawning in. Let's get them, guy. So, but it was really cool. And then Eli jumped in, my son Eli, or
yeah.
BTH Junior, or Mini Horizon. He goes by many
Yes.
names. He
Yes.
jumped in on, and I ended up putting out two separate videos, one with just me solo running around, and then one with him, and he had a great time. And we watched from a distance. Everyone kind of posed for that picture, and I think that we
Oh,
joined
you're
in for
right.
the
The
very end.
picture,
But
the
it was,
family portrait.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it was a big, huge family picture. We were watching from the top of the showroom, trying to get some video footage of it, and then I
Hmm.
think we
Hmm.
flew down for part of the picture. But that was really cool. That family portrait was like the pinnacle of that Surge event, I thought, or that
Yeah.
Metagravity event, I
Yeah, I
should
guess
say.
because
That was
again, Surge comes out later, but it was the
yeah,
thing that enabled Surge. Without the metagravity
right, right.
stress test, there wouldn't have
That
been a
was the stress
Surge.
test. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Now, the only thing I have to say, kind of in a, we haven't seen much more metagravity. I mean, we'll get to
No, not
Surge,
much. No.
but
Yeah.
now and again, I know we're jumping over the map because the new, if you haven't heard, there's a new version of the UE5 showroom that just came out, and you've been doing some awesome videos of checking things out. But that's not metagravity, I don't think. So that
No,
unfortunately has
no.
kind of
Yeah.
dropped off at least our access to it as gamers. Maybe they're still, doing stuff behind the scenes, but definitely a change. But we'll get to that. That we're jumping way ahead. That's the Breakpoint conference where a lot of that came out. So that was the big highlight in January. So if we move into February, we have the release of the DAC platform. Now, again, to keep everybody on the same page, DAC, short for Distributed Autonomous Corporation. So this is Star Atlas term for a guild. But what was really cool about that is for the first time, people in Star Atlas could register with their guild, and it went on the blockchain. But it was also the ability that anybody, because again, the key is it's not just guilds, it's anything. So you could start your own corporation. So like I did an Intergalactic Herald. I'm pretty sure I remember one of your videos, you did your kind of on the horizon, I forget what you call it, and so it was the first time we could actually truly align with different things. So I think that was a great milestone in February. So
Yeah, it was really cool. I think it was, essential for the guilds to
yes.
be able to unify, who they were. And it also gave us a ton of blockchain information
Oh,
by
yes.
having all
Yep.
those guilds on one DAC, because Steven Sabal and, Victor and Kenny over there at AFIA, they were all able to gather a whole bunch of information about how each DAC is working, how they're moving, what they're doing within the DAC, how much Polis they stake, how much, Atlas they're taking in, all sorts of stuff, so it's a phenomenal amount of information that the blockchain, gives all of us, and it's either able to gather each member of that guild into like one unity. I think it's
Yep.
pretty cool stuff.
Yeah. No, and again, that's been the promise that we've all been talking about by the fact that Star Atlas is the, Web3 blockchain game. Well, in addition to owning your own assets, there are all these other things we can use the blockchain for. And in this case, we'll call it allegiances or alliances or whatever. So, however, again, maybe I'm always going to be the however guy on this thing. However, we haven't really done much with the DAX since then. But
No.
again, at least it exists and it's there. But I was just as soon as I thought of you, and I'm like, oh yeah, you had your thing. Wait, I haven't logged in. I don't know if anybody ever joined mine. So
I think I have like I only have like 3 or 4 members. I,
oh,
I
did
keep
you?
on thinking of, I have a whole bunch of stuff on the back burner that I want to do with my DAC, which is kind of like my little club, because you have everyone's wallets, so you can
Yeah.
airdrop people stuff, that come
Oh,
in
I
your
never thought
DAC,
about that. You're
yeah,
right.
yeah.
Oh,
It's
that's
like, it's
actually
kind of cool,
that's
cool
a
stuff.
ooh. Again, see, this is just as a quick tangent. This is, I think, the thing that's always been so cool about the concept of Star Atlas is if you were a Fortnite player or a Call of Duty player, or whatever, you're their product. You buy the game. Yeah, sure, you only pay $60. You play it for a year, you're happy. But that's it. That's it. You get the next version. Here, I mean, there's the chance of, community. There's a chance for people like you and myself to, organize people, do different things because again, the blockchain provides this identity structure. So yeah, it is there's the potential that just doesn't exist in anything else. Well, I guess maybe another blockchain game, but not in traditional,
Yeah.
traditional gaming. So
Yeah, I was thinking like this is like an example, like of what because I have my little comic strip I do. It's a Star
mhm.
Atlas comic strip called Little Atlas. Like, what if I make NFTs or something like that of my like little characters or something like that, and I could airdrop those to the BTH mob, which is like
Yep.
the name of my deck, the little mob squad there, like if I grow grow that, and
Yeah.
they probably are going to be worthless, but it's kind of like a fun little thing that you can do like with your deck. You can
Yeah.
do little like things like that.
Yeah. Well, and
Um,
again, I know we all focus on the well, again, financial part of crypto, but I think there is this sort of also collection. Because again, I mean, yeah, sure, maybe it's not worth anything, but it'd be cool to have it. No different than, well, again, this is a video audio podcast, but you have your icons and your posters and things behind. I mean, they're there because you also like them. I mean, it makes your background look cool
yep,
too. But again, I think there is that other aspect. And again, we've had collection type of things forever, whether it's current stuff like Pokemon and there, but I mean, uh, dating us. I mean, we had baseball cards, and I guess there's still baseball cards, but you know what I mean. I mean, there's been people have been collecting things for a long time, and now just having the possibility of a value attached to it that's on the blockchain. But still, yeah, I mean, it'd be cool to be part of your mob and get one of the characters as an NFT or something. Yeah, I think that's great.
yeah,
Cool.
it's cool stuff that could lead to.
Yeah. So also in February we had Community Week. So that was I think it was a 5-day thing. They had like well some community thing, but the two big ones were the Copa, which was the chance for the guilds to do their kind of speeches, recruiting, and then the Joni Awards, which are the Star Atlas Community Awards. And I'm in the presence of a Joni double award winner, if I remember correctly. So,
What a
anyways,
big surprise, yeah.
yeah. But I do think as a game that is heavy into community, having something like that, because I think that was the first time they kind of combined everything into one event. And it was, I'm pretty sure it was a week long thing. I think there might have been a town hall too. I can't remember.
Yeah, there was a town hall
Yeah,
in
there
there,
was.
yeah.
Okay, cool. But again, that
Yeah.
just having all of that emphasis, but focused outward. I mean, it was really the team not giving back to the community, but really embracing, promoting, showcasing all of those things. I mean, I got to give the Stylus team a lot of credit for that kind of thing in the because actually, one thing we aren't talking about because it was 2023 was the whole FTX and the layoffs and all that because that all was
Mm-hmm.
Star Atlas 2023. So, but again, I want to feel that was in the fall. So I mean, we're like 5 months after that, and they do a full week community week. I mean, that was
The
probably in
FTX one
hindsight.
was actually that was actually fall of 2022, and it was
Oh,
the
see, I lost a whole
FTX
year. Yeah.
fiasco. And
Thank you.
yeah, so yep, yeah. I think it was like
Again,
September. Or, well, it was
crypto
right
seems
after the
compressed.
break point of yeah, yep. Yeah.
So
So
yeah,
yeah,
and
so they
again,
had but it was still a skeleton crew. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So you're going out for another Joni next year, right? You're gonna keep.
I don't know, man. I don't know. So yeah, just my take on the Jonies. I
Yeah.
really I was working. I was like, I posted a picture, I think, on X what I was doing during the Joni
Oh,
Awards. I was cutting big chunks of granite, with a big demo saw, but I had my earbuds in underneath my ear protection,
oh,
and yeah, all of a sudden I hear my name being called. Never thought I'd win. Never even thought I'd win one, much less two. And I really thought Metaverse Explorer was going to get them both,
yeah.
but he had told everyone not to vote for him. I
Well,
secretly
I
think he
guess
still
you get
wanted to
what
be
you tell
voted
your
for.
audience. Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, and I think he even said it on two different episodes leading up to Community Week, and yeah, so I like surprise, surprise, I nailed one, and then thanks to Satoshi Mama, I really feel like I keep on feeling like I should send her one of the other two Joni Awards,
Oh,
but I won the second award was a video I did alongside her for a tutorial. My
yes,
yeah, it
on the Sly
was
Assistant. Yeah.
yeah, the Sly Assistant. It was what was the name of my series? I'm spacing it right now, but I'll think
Yeah.
of it in a minute. But
You've
yeah,
done you've done a lot of multi-episode series, so you're allowed to forget a couple
yeah,
of them. Cool.
yeah. Um,
Yeah. So moving on
but yeah,
from
that was.
Oh,
Yeah.
go ahead.
Oh no, no, no. I was gonna say, and I wish I could. I'm so mad at myself because I'm having a brain cramp remembering who the Copa winners were. But yeah, shout out to all the guilds that won the
Yep.
Copa. And I don't even want to say any names because I'll say something wrong.
No,
They're all guilds coming
I'm
after me.
totally
But
spaced. I know there
yeah,
had like three
it was
categories,
great
but I
with
don't remember.
yeah,
Well, if
yeah.
we ever do this again,
So yeah,
we'll get our facts better than just the headlines because our memories are
yeah, get the
fading.
ducks in a row a little
Yeah,
bit better, you know?
yeah.
Yep.
Which is interesting because
We're
if
two
you
old timers, everyone out there.
yeah, we are. Well, moving to the next one, which is now March, the Titans sold, and then they just kept
Oh yeah.
selling, and it's kind of shocking because it was like nothing, and then one goes, which I don't even think technically is sold. I think it was the GG Collective, and then like out of the woodwork, some of the whales that had been in all negotiated some sort of deal, and then they got him sold, and it was like I think I remember you doing a video where you had done like an intro to the Titans a couple months before this, and then again it was like, oh
It
my
wasn't
word, these
even. It
things
was a
actually sold.
couple. Yeah, it was like I'm looking at it right now. It was called Let's Talk Titans, and it was
Okay,
like I put out this video, and it was like 3 weeks later, like the first Titan sold, and then it like snowballed, and
yeah.
within like a month and a half, all of them were sold after that video. And I was joking on X. I was like that I like inspired these Titans being sold. But obviously they're, with $1 million price tags or
Yep.
however much they got sold for. Word of mouth is it was a lot cheaper than that. But yeah, it's not something that people jump on. So I'm sure people are planning for a long time. But it totally coincided with my video that I just put out. So that was a lot of fun to
You're
watch all that
Nostradamus. You
unfold,
can
and that
predict
got
it.
people. Yeah, that got people pumped, man.
Yeah.
That like watching those Titans being sold for Star Atlas. That was pretty cool. That it was definitely the price of Atlas and Polis were doing really well at that moment.
Mm.
If you look at the charts, like right around that time, they haven't gone to that heights again. I don't believe. That was pretty much the
Oh,
pinnacle
good. Yeah,
where Atlas
you
was
follow
1 cent,
crypto way
around
more
one
than I
cent.
do,
Yeah,
but yeah,
yeah,
so you're right. That was that kind of high pump of
yeah. We had a nice pump
yeah,
around that time. That was
yeah.
nice.
I hadn't thought about that. Yeah, and one of the things I think it shows, and not that any individual Titan purchase is less than another, but the kind of the final part of the Titans, I didn't put this in the list, but was the Super Phoenix. And then, of course, what they're
Yeah,
doing with it and continuing to do with it, creating their own kind of sub community of their own DAO and their own NFTs. And then I think there's coin coming and a whole bunch of other stuff. So I think, again, it really shows for Star Atlas because again, when I first looked, like, who's going to buy $1 million? Well, I guess a spaceship is one thing, and then of course you have the whole who's going to buy an NFT or PFP or whatever. But then they did sell, and so somebody's put some value behind it, and we can, you know, it it. I guess in hindsight, it doesn't really, I think, show to the broader world the commitment of some people. And again, I don't know where they come up with their money, but that's a big thing, to spend any amount of money on a game to shows the kind of commitment that is out there. And so maybe that selling of those hasn't got as much kind of publicity since then because those people are still around. I mean, we know their names. They went on one of the
yeah.
I think it was Metaverse Nomads had every Titan owner on the show if I remember correctly.
Yeah, yeah. I'm spaced in the GG Collective, but then Mandalorian, we have Virtual, and then
Yep.
we have Craig from or
Yeah.
Nord, aka
Yeah.
Nord. Yeah, all of them were on there all together, and yeah, that was an awesome. By the way, shout out to Nomads. That was an awesome
Yeah.
episode having all of them on there
Almost.
like that.
Yep.
It was super cool. Yeah, and I was actually just discussing with my parents around Christmas time. They're like, "Oh man, how much are ships?" And I was telling, "Oh, they can range anywhere between a couple bucks, a couple hundred." They're like, "Oh, you never spent that much." I'm like, "Oh, well, kind of, sort of." Excuse me. And they're like, "Oh my God, are you the only one spending that much money?" And then I tell them how people bought $1 million ships. And
Yeah.
it just blew their mind, absolutely
Yeah.
blew their minds. And it was funny because I did a little bit on my video called Let's Talk Titan Ships, if anyone
Yeah.
cares to watch it. But I did a little bit where I showed some news people and I just overdubbed what they were talking about. And I really thought it was going to make mainstream news because technically it was one of the the largest assets
Hmm.
ever sold in NFT form. And there was four of them, you know.
Yeah.
The fact that we just don't know the exact price tag, I think the impact, you know, on what it
True.
may,
True. Yeah.
what those NFTs actually like were truly sold for, but still they are also the possible largest movable flyable asset ever owned in any type of video game up to this date too. So yeah, it's pretty phenomenal. I wish that it did make more news, and I think it will as Star Atlas starts to, grow in popularity.
Yeah.
It's going to be those larger crypto channels that'll be like, they're going to have their dumb moment, like, how did I miss this? How did I miss this all happening?
Yeah.
So yeah, Titan ships, cool stuff, man.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, also in March, we had, I think, and again, not spoiling my best of the year thing. We had Sage Starbase come out. So a little history us and Sage Star Atlas Golden Era. I have to give Star Atlas, whoever does all the acronyms is amazing, but it came out with the Starbase version. So we previously had the Escape Velocity, which was the movement test. Then we had Labs, which was just mining, and then now they added Starbases, which allowed for upkeep and upgrading. So there was a purpose for your mining. And then there was redemptions through loyalty points, LP. Yeah. But that I think was the first time we finally saw a cohesive, not that mining and movement wasn't cool, but it showed the progression of the game. So to me, Starbased, and you did a lot of videos on them to help out people, but that was, I think, the major gameplay thing that had come out to date as a really true the replay value. It was there and there was a purpose and there was a reason to check in daily. I mean, we finally kind of crossed a lot of those thresholds with Starbased. And you've done a lot of videos on them.
Yeah, for me, I was not very happy about Starbase personally about the release of it. That was actually released in the town hall during Community Week,
Oh, was it?
and
Okay.
the whole, yeah, and there was a couple flaws about this release, in my opinion. Now, and hindsight's 2020,
Oh,
but
yeah, 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 yeah.
well, one is I remembered my series, by the way. It was Score vs. Sage, and
Ah,
me and Satoshi Mama were collectively making it. It was getting some of my most viewed videos. Like all of a sudden, not to pat myself on the back because it was a whole bunch of different things. It was Atlas price going up and a bunch of different things, but there was the slide tool coming out,
yes.
like everything put together. Sage started, or the original Sage Labs, all of a sudden started booming. And a lot of people started to come into, to play that game. And we're actually really enjoying that game. And then what happened was Solana, the reason I say this is I didn't like the release. Solana had the meme coin catastrophe where the actual blockchain slowed down dramatically and was like almost
Okay.
unusable for a while. Do you remember that? And
Yeah.
it was like a month and a half of just agony trying to use the Solana blockchain. Well, the team decided to release Starbase during that, and I really
Gotcha.
felt like Sage Labs had a good run going and should have kept on going for a while longer. And Starbase wasn't quite even ready to, because I don't know if you remember, the LP redemption wasn't quite ready, but it
Oh,
just
yeah.
wasn't quite ready in the first place. And then it was released during that Solana, debacle, and I just thought it was like bad timing for the release. And obviously that it wasn't the most popular having that LP situation. So I went from actually making a decent, me and all the people that were following along with my
Hmm.
videos, we all of a sudden were making a pretty decent profit to like me making like trying to deal with the Solana thing, like making like I don't know, like a couple dollars a day, down from like $25 a day or something like that in Atlas or something. It was a huge loss in value to me and all the players that were kind of like following along with me. And it was mostly to the Solana blockchain. It would have happened anyway, whether they kept Sage Labs or whatever. But at least we had it all like panned out, if that made any sense, in Sage Labs. It
Yeah,
was
yeah.
all automated, everything was going, but now we had to like, take all our ships out of Sage Labs and put it into Starbase
Oh,
and,
yes.
dealt with all that. The Solana
Yeah.
blockchain wasn't cooperating. It was, ugh.
Yeah.
It was
No,
frustrating. So,
yeah. And I know you're not heavy into the Staros Discord, but yeah, what shall I say, the toxicity raised a lot with people quote unquote manipulating the LP system and things like that.
That
And
led to a very, very, yeah, a lot of fights. Especially, it was mostly, it didn't really affect me at all because I couldn't
yeah,
really, I wasn't a big enough player to do the LP.
yeah,
But
yeah,
boy,
yeah.
the way it was whales fighting whales and guilds fighting guilds for sure.
Yeah, no, I kind of almost forgot about that because yeah, it was again, it was cool to have the game, but yeah, it was. And again, we obviously this is all in hindsight. The team has been making changes, and of course, they just came out with a big one, which we'll get to when we get to the end because it just came out in December. But it was a real economy, which meant it had real world impacts, and people again, I don't want to say took advantage of it, but played the rules as they were written, not the spirit of the rules, but the actual rules. And I think the first time it sounded like if combat had existed, oh my word, we would have had some stories to tell
Oh
about
yeah.
people going after
Oh
other
yeah.
people.
There was, yeah, not to name names, but there was like, yeah, there was certain people going after certain people hardcore.
Yeah,
But yeah, it was, and Chris from Economics, it took quite a while for him to actually say this, but it was like months after that, like that toxicity that you were talking about.
yes,
Chris actually came out and he's like, I totally expected players to do the manipulation that they were doing to get the LP. We completely even playing that in the game. He's like, what I didn't plan on is the fallback that created. Like he didn't think that it would be such a big deal as it was.
yeah,
And yeah, so that was interesting time. I really, just in case anyone's new to Star Atlas and listening to this, Based, I really think is an amazing game right now. It has finally hit its stride. We're only talking about the initial first release,
yep,
anyone that's new out there, new to
yeah.
Star Atlas.
March
The
2024.
initial
How
release
how
was a
how it
little
was in the
rocky.
good old
Yeah,
days.
this was a little rocky. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. And right now, I'm loving Starbase. So
yeah.
just to throw that out there.
Yeah. Well, and actually, you brought up another thing because I think we have still experienced it is the reliance upon the Solana blockchain. And when it has hiccups, and again, some of them aren't even problems with the blockchain. Like there was some airdrop of some, I don't know, some penguins or something. I don't know. I don't know what it was. Something just came out recently, and that caused a whole bunch of problems because you get
Yeah,
these
Penguin
ebbs and
token. Yeah,
flows, yeah, of people. But I again jumping ahead, I did find it really interesting in the last town hall where the CEO Michael Wagner kind of, I think for the first time threw out some things about, hey, we totally understand this. We've been dealing with it, but we're willing to go wherever we need to go to get a good game. And I think that shows that the team who have said really up in front about that they're building in public. And Chris, I always forget titles, but the head of econ, I mean, the dude's smart. I mean, let's just be blunt. He's got a PhD. He knows what he's doing. And
right.
and we're just responding to the economy he's creating. But the fact that there is a functional economy, and again, March, we're in December, it's still a functional economy. I mean, this is showing that the foundation parts of the game of the, I guess I shouldn't say the game, of the ecosystem, the metaverse, whatever term you want to do, they are constantly iterating and moving it forward. And yeah, the star based slash whatever we're calling it now, freighting error, whatever. Again, they have so many naming things, but yeah. Anyways, moving on to April. We kind of touched on this earlier. So in April, we had two things occur, one game related, one company related. The game related one was the Surge event. So the Surge event was taking that MetaGravit technology we mentioned that they did the stress test in January and adding a shooter component. They took the showroom, but they expanded it to actually be a total open world environment. Put all three factions in there, enabled guns, had a gameplay mechanism where every kill gave you a point, and then when you got, what was it, 10 of them, you had to run to a place and you get a redeem thing. And said, we want, what was it? I think it was a goal is 1,000, and everybody would get a crew card, which we didn't even know what they were back then. And they set us loose on it, and it was pretty fun. The other thing on the business side, though, was this acquisition of a former company, if I understood the whole thing in my memory, of a previous company of some of the founders. Again, I'm already totally messing up the details, but it was a company called Tokes, and it was sort of integrated into Star Atlas. But I think the bigger part about it was sort of the community blowback, to be blunt, of how that went. So we had this one brand new gameplay mode, moving away from the ships into basically, I know it's a third person shooter. I just call it a shooter, and playing that and I had a great time on it within the kind of we'll call it business operation. So I know you did a couple Surge videos. I think you did some live streams, didn't you?
I did. I filmed it
Oh, you
live,
filmed and edited. Okay, I couldn't remember
playing
if it was
it,
live.
and then I put it out immediately
Yeah.
afterwards. Like while people were still playing, I like uploaded my video. Yeah, so it was close to live. Leon from Leon Metaverse Explorer.
Oh yeah. Yep.
He
Yep.
attempted to do one live and it didn't go so well. I remember who else? Iron Alien. I think he might have done one live. A couple people did them live
Well,
on
wasn't there
Discord
actually there
too.
was there was two, and like the first one hit the 1,000 mark. We got our crew
Yeah,
cards, but then there was a second one. It was only like 300 people because I think I was in the second one because the timing because it was within a 24-hour period, and the 300 made it much more playable. It wasn't as laggy, and you didn't jump around if I remember correctly.
yeah. The second one was a lot less players and it was a lot smoother.
Yeah.
I was so tired. I did record it. I never put out a video for the second one. I don't think I recorded it and I don't think I think I was too tired to edit it and I never bothered. I was like so low energy because I was
Yeah.
I was so pumped on the first one. But yeah, I remember someone else that was live streaming was KeplerNet. He was live
Yes.
streaming,
Yeah.
and me and Eli found where he was while he was live streaming, and we
Yeah.
shot him like while it was a lot of fun because we were
Oh,
watching the
I
live
remember on
stream
your
on
video.
our
Yeah, you
phones.
were
Yeah,
you were
yeah,
holding up like the
yeah.
tablet to follow
Yeah,
his
I was like,
screen
there
while
he
you
is,
were
and then
hunting him
and then
down.
Eli found him and was like, pop, pop, pop.
I remember
Yeah, it was
that.
pretty funny. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah, that was fun.
yeah.
Yeah, I love the Surge event. I thought it
Yeah.
was like a huge community building. We had all these new people that had
Yep.
never, experienced Star Atlas, didn't own any ships or anything like that. Just wanted to be part of the event and get the skin giveaways because we were getting
Yes.
those crew pack or those crew
Yeah.
members.
I guess what
If
became crew members. I
yeah,
don't know if they even used that term back then.
yeah, which we got all three of them. It was awesome, and and that kind of leads all those new people to kind of leads me to the Tokes.
Yes.
And so I think that was like the ultimate high point of the spring, at least the earlier part of this
Yes.
year, was that Surge
Hmm.
event. I think that was when, being a crypto fan, that was when we had the Atlas token and Polis token were doing the best. We had the most people. My channel was getting like 100 followers like every like couple weeks, which was the most I ever got. And it was just so many people on X commenting and stuff like that. And then we had a huge drop off on players shortly afterwards. But then that leads kind of to we were talking about toxicity. That
Hmm.
Tokes thing I thought was a big nothing burger. Man, did I think that was a nothing burger. It was like, oh, because it was funny. It was happened to be on 420.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think a lot of people said that they were angry about it because it was released during the Surge event, but the Surge event was on 420 and
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Tokes was a marijuana company and
Yep.
420 is a marijuana like
Yep.
holiday. And that
Hmm.
was like,
Hmm.
yeah, so the two coincided, and that's the only reason that they released that announcement. But it was an acquisition by Automata, not by Star
Yes.
Atlas, and they are
Correct.
their own company. They are
Yep.
developing the game
Yep.
for Star Atlas, but it's not like they were spending money like out of the Dow or something like that,
Yeah.
like other people's
Correct.
money for this acquisition. This was Michael Wagner and maybe Danny. I can't remember. I don't want to misspeak, but a couple
No,
of
I
the
know. I
founders
can't remember all the
of Star
who's the
Atlas. Yeah.
owners or
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah, yeah. But they're making an acquisition and trying to make things square for a company that they created in the past. And I mean, I thought that was a stand-up thing to do. And if Star Atlas ever fails, we know that these guys are going to make another. It won't. Don't worry, it won't. But you know what I mean? Like if
Yeah.
there was that failure, like these are the guys that are gonna make another company and they know each and every one of us like family and they're gonna make it square with us and make us grow in other ways. I thought it was awesome.
Yeah.
Now I don't want to, be a sourpuss, but I didn't realize other people were having a hard time with it until I watched the Metaverse Nomads. I hate to use someone's name, but Whitakis was a very big frowny pants about the whole situation. He brought it up quite a bit. And I thought that I was like, what is he talking about? Why is everyone mad? I went to Discord and it was the entire Discord was just talking. Everyone was angry about it. Everyone was angry. I was, what is going on? I was like, this will blow over. All the guys on Discord, they just like, they get each other worked
Hmm.
up. And then it was the following Metaverse Nomads. They talked about it the entire episode then too. I was like, what the heck? They're still talking about this? It definitely led into like two or three, at least, touch base. And Metaverse Nomads is a very strong voice. I love that. Love them so much. A very strong voice from the Discord angle of things. And I listen to them every single week to see what I miss out on because I don't follow Discord very often. But I couldn't believe how big of a problem Tokes was for everybody. And I felt like it was a terrible thing because so many new players had discovered Star Atlas because of the Surge event, and all they
Yeah.
saw was everyone bickering for a month straight over Tokes. That I still think is a nothing burger. I'm throwing it out there. I think that you guys are all crazy. It's not our business. It's Tomata's business. So yeah, I think everyone
Yeah.
should calm down.
Yeah. Well, no, and again, I mean, we can look at it in hindsight. Other than you and I just bringing this up, I haven't heard a
Yeah.
single thing of it. I mean, I was still, I mean, weren't we going to get like cultivation or I don't remember even what it was, but
Yeah, it's like it's way out in the future. We're gonna
yeah,
get some type of like
yeah,
new plant, some type of like you said, it's a totally different
yeah,
gameplay loop that's not gonna affect our normal
yeah,
gameplay loop
yeah,
unless we decide that we want to do it.
yeah, and
Some people thought it would just further liquefy like all our assets, or dilute our assets, but I just don't think that that's the case. I
yeah,
think that Star Atlas is big enough that it can absorb everything like that, in my
yeah.
opinion.
Yep.
So
Well,
that's that.
going back to Surge real quick, I wanted to comment on one personal thing. Don't think I've shared this before. So when I started Star Atlas, it was around December. So I can't remember now. You got me confused if it's 2 or 3 years ago. But whenever I decided to get into Star Atlas, part of it was to get at that time my nearly end of teenage son, who's now almost 21. So he's not a teenager anymore because he's been playing video games most of his life. And, he doesn't want to play with his dad. And I'm not as good as him anymore. I can't do shooters. But, and as I mentioned many times, I'm more of an RTS guy, anyways. So this was going to be the cool thing. So I convinced him when I bought my first ship, he bought his ship, and we got all of this. And back at that time, they were promising something new in the new year. And I was like, great, we're going to play something in the new year. And of course, whatever year that was, obviously nothing came out. Maybe as the first year score came out and it was like, this isn't a game. This is click a couple buttons and get, it just didn't make any sense. But anyways, long-winded way of saying I got him to get into Surge. He's got a gaming computer, so he's a PC gamer, so he's able to play it there. I got it on mine. We are both in it. I couldn't figure out the keys. He just inherently knew what to do. And we played. And at the time, there was a leaderboard in Surge. I can't forget what it was like, every 10 minutes, and then the game ended and people went on the leaderboard. And my son was in the top 10. And it was
Oh, that's
kind of,
awesome,
yeah, and it
man.
was
That
kind of
is
like,
cool.
it was cool because finally the original promise, hey, we're gonna play a game together. And then when I told him you could make real money, that was really cool to him. But there was never a game. And so he totally, I mean, I just had to remember to tell him to log in so he could get, whatever airdrop Star Atlas is giving out. I wanted to make sure to get some of the free stuff. But
Yeah,
that was
yeah.
the first time that the original promise of why I got into Star Atlas, though I got in for other reasons, but it was to maybe play with my son, happened. So that, again, just a little personal tidbit because I
Wicked
know
cool
you're
story, man.
much more in
Yeah.
with Mini Horizon. You guys are
Yeah.
always jumping in and out. So, but anyway, so okay, moving on. This is the one I have written down, but I can't remember anything. So in May, the Solana Crossroads event occurred. So Star Atlas goes to many conferences, though typically crypto based and definitely Solana based. So they always seem to have a presence at the Solana conferences. I don't know the difference between Crossroads and Breakpoint or Point Break, whatever it's called. So I totally should have wrote down more things. But they went to a conference and I'm sure they told us things, but I don't remember what they were. But one thing that I was realizing when I was reviewing this list that where I failed again to write more down was one thing that dawned on me, especially after the two conferences they went to this year, is I think I've actually thought of these conferences differently now. They're not focused on us, the Star Atlas community. They're focused on the community that shows up to these things. So again, this is a Solana conference. They're trying to show, hey, why they're a good Solana developer. And that's kind of a new epiphany for me. It's like we get great details and we think it's awesome, but we're not the target audience for these conferences. We like them because they tell us things, but they want to look good in the Solana environment, which is perfectly great. I mean, they have to, Star Atlas has to be in many different audiences, but I totally don't remember anything that came out of that. So unless you do, we can just skip and go
Yeah,
to
I'll
the
fill
next
you
one.
in. This was the yin to the yang of the town hall that was shortly after.
Yeah.
So
Oh, you're
they
right.
the
Yeah.
Crossroads event. So this I can't remember where it took place, but Michael came out there and did his presentation, and it was just mind blowing. And our community guys, Dominic, Jose, and Santi, they didn't hype it up in the least. They really almost didn't even talk about it, even on the brew coming, leading up to it. They're like, "Oh,
Oh, good
we're
memory.
don't forget
Yeah.
this Saturday or whatever is the Crossroads event. If you guys want to watch it, we're all gonna watch it on the town hall." They didn't say like, "You better be there. You better," like they didn't like no hype at all. And it
Yeah.
was a Saturday, so I believe, and so I happened to be around to be able to watch it live, and I was like on my feet, like being like, what the heck? Because they released the trailer to the now playable, the most just only playable for a couple weeks here now, the Sogdian District, which was crazy. Do you remember that? That was
Yeah.
that
Wait a
whole
second. You're
trailer.
telling me that the original images were back in May.
Yeah, yeah. So
Oh
that was
man, I
released
did
at
not put that
Crossroads
connection.
event.
Thank you. Yeah.
And then they released the trailer. It's the first time we ever got to see it for the now play, like not really playable, but the
Yeah.
now we can explore it on Unreal Engine 5 is the Fleet Command. It was the first time we actually ever got to see like a real trailer for Fleet Command. And
Oh my word.
then they didn't stop there, but they released the trailer. Do you remember it was a trailer for the crew packs, but it was where they were in the race mode because
Yeah,
they were
yeah, the
still
guy's
talking
doing the thing
about
at
they
the
were
end.
still
Oh,
trying, yeah, and the guy was pumping his fist at the
that's all
end.
Crossroads.
All three of those are Crossroads, yeah. So we got the three pretty much biggest trailers of the year at Crossroads events, and nobody on maybe the team like were like not told about it, but the community team like never hyped it up, and everyone was like afterwards like, oh my god, oh my god. Sorry.
Man, first of all, you have way better memory than I have. But you do the videos. See, I mean, I just
Yeah.
tell everybody about other people's videos, so I don't have to memorize everything. But that is fascinating because as soon as you said that, I'm like, I remember those videos. I mean, they're seared in
Yeah.
my brain because they
They're back
were
to back to back, all
so,
three.
yeah, and they
Yeah.
were so different than anything we had seen up until that point. I mean, that
Right.
racing video, was that also the video where they had the crew coming down? Because that was the first time we had the Iron Man. Because yeah, Surge had happened. No, we had that in Surge. We had the oh, I can't
That
even
might have
think
been the
what.
Surge trailer. Yeah, I
Yeah,
think
that's
that
a
might.
Surge trailer. You're
Yeah,
right. Never mind.
yeah.
But anyways, nevertheless, I
There's some
mean,
good trailers right around that
yeah,
time. There's some awesome trailers.
yeah.
Um,
Well, and that is kind of interesting now because again, May, and now we're finally playing parts of that. Which again, I don't want to fault the team because this stuff is hard to develop, and you're not. It is easier to put out a trailer than it is to make a playable game, but you have to start
yeah,
someplace. And so you're obviously still going to do in-game footage. I mean, that wasn't faked. Like, I mean, and there's no problem. The original trailer, of course, was a concept video. I mean, none of that exists at all. But it's a great way to announce your white papers and things like that. So I'm not faulting the team for not having real world in-game, but we know in-game footage is critical, and that is in-game footage. Wow, totally excellent
yeah.
memory.
Well, that was. I think that we then would have maybe even that was also the time of the major pivot. And that I think you're leading up to the town hall. Is that the next one you're?
Yeah, yeah. In fact, let's just jump ahead to that one because
Yeah,
now that I'm thinking they're
yeah.
tied. So in July, it was early July. I want us to say like the day before 4th of July or something. They had a town hall, and if I'm not mistaken, that was really hyped. That was like this is
This
going to be
was
the great.
mega
Yes,
hyped. Yeah, this
mega
was like
hype. And again,
they
I'm
like
not trying to butt ever, but it's like just don't tell us like Crossroads. Hey, it just came out of nowhere.
they. Yeah.
Yeah, and it was
So
mega
we were
hype.
all thinking, man, yeah, yeah.
What's coming? And I think that was the biggest community letdown because there wasn't anything, if I remember correctly. Nothing came out. Well, it's not on my list. Nothing. There was no new UE5 client because we never got one at all during the year that we could play outside of the Surge. Oh, maybe Surge was still a UE5 client. I can't remember, but definitely there wasn't. It was a good town hall. It was informative, but it was short lived and it didn't really have
Yeah.
much more of an impact for the rest of the month or well actually we'll get to a couple things that did come out in July, but that was it. But the things that I think a lot of the community really focus on the gameplay and things like that, it fell flat. And again, no rhyme, I mean no pro or con, it just was, I mean 6 months later we can all look back and go, well, what did we get out of that type of thing? But
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, my 2 cents on that was I think that we were all riding on those trailers.
Yeah,
I was, we were all wondering, oh my gosh, maybe this stuff's closer than we actually expected,
exactly.
And
Yep.
so those trailers were all fresh, really fresh in our minds. And how the team, at least the community team, had billed that one was the biggest town hall yet to come.
Yeah.
This is going to be our largest town hall that you ever saw. Now, we had just gotten the last town hall was that one where we got like what we were just talking about,
Hmm.
in December, where we got
Yep.
like the shooting
Yep.
mechanism, we got the racing mechanism. So we're like, oh my god, oh my god. This town hall, if I remember correctly, was more talking. It talked about everything that was coming out. It was a good,
Yep.
informative town hall,
Yep.
but we didn't get any releases except for the DAO. We did get the
Yeah,
DAO,
which we'll get to
and
next.
then
Yeah.
yeah. And so that was a phenomenal for all the politicians out there. Politicians, that was a phenomenal thing to be released. I thought that this would actually like calm down the whole Tokes people because like
Mhm.
the big thing that they were saying was, oh, we should have voting rights on something like Tokes, even though it has nothing to do with Polis Dow because that was an
Yeah.
automata acquisition again. But they all were like, yeah, now we can vote on that. We would have voted that down if that came up, which it still wouldn't have been up for a pip. But it just thrown out there. But there, so I knew that I really felt like that was coming out, and also I had heard, is it Brad that not Brad? I'm gonna skip. I'm spacing
I
his
know
name
we're
right now,
terrible with
but
names.
was rehired. The Dow guy was our man, our good buddy there was rehired. So that
Oh,
I knew.
the Dan Park, the
Yeah.
lawyer.
Yeah. Dan
Yeah.
Parks. Yeah. Woo.
Yeah.
Thank you. So yeah, so I really felt like that was going to be the big drop for the town hall, but I also thought we were going to get something Unreal Engine because we had
Yes.
gotten every 6 months we had gotten something for
Good point.
Unreal
Good
5.
point.
So and we
Yeah.
didn't get one, and so I think that's where everyone was like, ooh, and where was it going with that? I oh, it was the big pivot. That's where I was gonna say. What
I
they did
wondered,
is
I
they
was about
told
ready
us that
thinking that too, and I can't remember when the pivot happened. But was that
it
the
was
pivot
when
from
they
the
had told us
racing?
they were told us they were gonna pivot from the racing, and I think all those
Yeah.
trailers were kind of leading up to the team was all working on racing.
Yeah.
It was probably getting closer than we realized.
Yep.
Then they nixed that to start to do because they wanted to do the whole shooting thing for
Yep.
Breakpoint,
Yep.
so they had all hands on deck on that. And they thought it was going to be really good news because everyone loved that, but I think everyone else was like, the majority of people, I think, were like, oh my gosh, I just want something for Unreal Engine, like keep the
Yes.
hype going, So, yeah,
Yep. Yeah. No,
that's
and
my
that
two
I
cents.
think is a great summary because I have this distinct memory of doing my podcast at that time and saying like, cool, but we're 6 months into the year. And I remember. And Surge was so awesome. And so it made sense on the pivot, but it was like, but racing could be awesome too. I mean, I just want something to do. And again, this may tie back into Sage, the browser one, just being okay, but not the LP redemptions, the Starbase. I mean, it's again, and maybe this is the time also. Now I actually have a memory. This is where we got into the whole thing about small players just can't do much. And the whole
It's
thought
true.
was the
Yep.
racing will help, or then the I mean something, but we had nothing. In fact, I actually remember in July watching one of Afia's videos where they did a small player tutorial. And I think this is where Victor put out his dashboards on the cost effectiveness of each thing, mining, scanning, whatever. And you just couldn't do it under,
Yeah.
I don't remember, $500,000 or $1,000, $500, something like that. And it was like it for all the cool things that the town hall brought up, it was like they're still all in the future. And now we're 6 months into the year, and this was the year. Every year is always the year, but that's a different story. And there's
Yeah.
still nothing. And Surge was so fun, and
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
still didn't have it. So
Yeah. That was, and by the way, anyone that's listening, this does have a happy ending because we had an awesome Christmas present. But yeah, this was
no,
kind of like the doom and gloom of the year. That town hall was kind of like everyone was like, oh my gosh, because me being a medium small player, I was trying to make a video called a series that was called Let's Get Starbased.
yeah,
And
mhm,
I was going through every single angle I could possibly do to make money on Starbased, and I finally could not do anything but mine at the CSS. And
yes. The was it the Metaverse
Archetype reached
Explorer,
out to
the
me.
hydrogen miners,
Yeah,
all you hydrogen miners.
yeah. And Archetype reached out. He's like, "Man, I tried so much with the kids in my school. I have all these different students,
Yes,
and we tried every angle ourselves. All we could do is mine it in hydrogen. That's it. It's the only thing you can do. That's the whole game. So it was really hard to make content without Unreal Engine 5 footage.
yeah,
Showing was getting buggy. And yeah, Starbase wasn't what we were hoping at that moment in time, at least.
Yeah. But since we're at the middle part of the year, you're right. We should remind people that if you were there. So,
Yeah,
the story is not yet written. We're halfway there. So, but one thing that did come out, which is part of the Star Atlas ecosystem, was the DAO was released. So, if
yeah,
you've heard anything about Star Atlas, one of the unique things about it is because it's crypto, it has the idea of a DAO, so a distributed autonomous organization, actual structure that is trustless and everything's done on the blockchain. And Star Atlas has promoted this from the beginning in their different white papers. And so this has been a big component of the quote unquote theory crafting that a lot of community members enjoy doing. And Star Atlas has been upfront. They want to turn over definitely the intellectual property and really become a subcontractor to the actual ownership, which will be in the form of a DAO. But nothing had happened for a long time. In fact, maybe the lockers was the last real thing. You can lock your Polis and Atlas, and that was pretty much it. There wasn't really much in between. So apparently, if I remember the story correctly, there were some people who know how to do this work, employees, who were kind of doing it on the side and brought some proof of concept out that was good enough to release. So it wasn't like it was a planned thing, but it had reached a level that it could actually come out. And I think you're right. Dan Park, the attorney who was originally there, left. Though, as a quick aside, I remember him mentioning part of the reason he left is it was during the layoffs and they didn't, he said, you guys don't need a lawyer, so don't pay me. I'll go find another job. So that was kind of cool when he said that on some show. So he actually came back, but I mean, this is legal stuff, so you need a lawyer to kind of shepherd this through. Apparently, the foundation had already existed, but the mechanisms weren't there. So part of the DAO release was to actually get the PIP process, which are Polis improvement proposals, to be voted on. But in order to start the voting, you had to have the initial ones. So they scaled back because I think, if I remember correctly, they're going to do a whole like constitution and all this other stuff just to have these foundational proposals to vote on that would move enough to that. I'm not sure, but in hindsight, we know the answer that there would be a council formed. And so the DAO release was that these proposals could be there, discussed, and voted on officially on the blockchain, and the outcome was a DAO council that then could be a group. And so, again, I think that was one of the things, because again, we've kind of alluded to that there's multiple aspects of this. So there's a gaming aspect, there's the economy aspect, and there is a political aspect. But the political aspect has two functions: in game and around the game. And this was more about the around the game stuff where you could actually, be involved in stuff. So, yeah, I think kudos to whoever spent the time on their weekends to do the programming or whatever it took to get this out. But yeah, something was released, and then that followed right afterwards with the PIP voting for the different proposals. I'm trying to remember, I think the first one was like a foundation just to make it exist, and then can't remember or how the proposals work, and then I think the third one was the council. Again, I'm probably forgetting the order, but yeah, I mean that was a great development in something that had been talked about in the original white papers.
yeah. I totally agree. I think that there's a certain gaming loop aspect behind Star Atlas that some people, I mean, absolutely love the DAO. I'm just learning, about the DAO myself and like
Yeah.
how it could be useful for our whole entire economy. I know that there's a lot of money in the treasury behind the DAO, but I never thought I'd go after like the politician loop, so I wasn't paying
Yeah.
too much attention to it. And I haven't, and, just to be honest, I have not followed too closely on the Discord where most of the PIP information is all being held. And that was actually part of how the release was able to come out so quickly. I believe is that they instead of it all being on the blockchain, they
Yes.
were able to
Yes.
do a big chunk of it on the Discord, and then
Yeah.
our voting rights are actually on the blockchain, and that's how they were able to get it out. Also, by the way, I think it's decentralized autonomous organization.
Did
Not
I
to,
mess it up?
not. I think you said distributist, but it
Oh,
doesn't really matter.
ah,
But decentralized, yeah, I think it's decentralized, which is super cool. It's owned by the people. It definitely is power to the people, power for the
yes.
people.
Yep.
And man, I do have a bunch of Polis that I've owned for even before the FTX collapse. I have Polis that I've owned for a long time, and it's all locked away. And I do, have voting rights. So I'm really excited about the DAO and what it's going to, how it's going to unfold in the future. Unfortunately, I'm just such the way my brain works. I'm an artist in many ways, and not a paper pusher type of guy. So I'm
Sure,
like
sure.
actually writing the pips and being involved in the pips and stuff like that is like so tough for me. I'm a construction worker, but I work in stone masonry, so I have my artistic side there.
Oh,
I do
cool.
my comic strip, even my videos. I
Yep.
almost feel like the art. So yeah, my
Hmm.
brain. I don't remember if it's right or left, but my brain is on one side of things, and then
Yes. No,
the
I
the
hear you.
whole entire pips are like completely different than the way
Yeah.
my brain works. So I kind
Yeah.
of
Well,
just kind of riding the waves and seeing how it all works.
yeah. Well, I think one good thing is it's showing that original promise. I forget there's a phrase on the homepage of Star Alice that was like space exploration, something and politics. And if that's your thing, I mean, the fact that this is not controlled by the game developer, I mean, that the blockchain and proposals and voting and again, we'll get into voting in a little bit, but yeah, I mean, it's still a fascinating aspect to this large ecosystem that Star Atlas has you know proposed out there. Well, moving to something that I know you're much more passionate about is crew packs and crew cards.
Oh
So
yeah,
in
crew packs.
August, so now we're month 9. The crew packs are finally came out. So crew packs were something, and I want to say this was probably announced at that town hall in July, but then didn't come up. But I can't remember because we didn't get it till the next month. So it was the idea that finally crew would be a unique aspect. So we'd always thought of Star House's ships that had crew inside, but never that the crew was this individual thing. And so finally all the programming was made back and forth. And the crew, I forget, I want to say maybe at the town hall they released a pre-buy of the 10 platinum one because I remember buying that because it was slightly discounted.
Me
They
too.
finally
Yeah.
became available and in August. And shall we say the launch was not according to plan. I'll let you take it from there because you had some videos. I mean,
Well,
you had videos of opening, which again, not necessarily my personal thing, but I realize that's a big thing, and your excitement in the videos are awesome. But again, that was only part of the opening experience or the release, I should say.
yeah, well, I think the visual experience and I think the way the mechanics worked, where you actually would go to the play.staratlas.com
Hmm.
and actually like get your crew packs, and then you get to like basically tear them open and you get to see your cards, and they had all the sound effects and like the little visual effects, and then the artwork we never really knew. We saw a couple little prototypes what the artwork was going to be like,
Right.
but the artwork was far superior than what I thought it was going to be.
Yep.
Maybe not the muds. I know the muds were like the people that had mud, were a little disappointed. But as far as the Oni and the Ooster, man, the art, like we were blown away. I think that unanimously, like everyone in Star Atlas was blown away with what it looked like. It was a little rocky launch. Like it was supposed to be released on one certain day. I think maybe it got pushed back a little bit, but it went on forever for the actual day of release where they're like
Hmm.
any minute now, and it was like I don't know, it was like 8 straight hours, everyone like on Discord waiting for the launch. I was in bed when it finally launched. I woke up to it, but then we all got to open our crew packs. Holy smokes, like I said, the artwork, the
Yep.
excitement, like seeing like the animations, the sound of everything was amazing. And there was a lot of people involved inside of Star Atlas because it was a big launch for
Hmm.
Automata
Hmm.
team,
Yep.
and they got all these different communities involved and gave a ton of free crew packs out so everyone could actually open the crew packs. Any community content creator that was out there was actually opening packs on top of like other people that weren't even part of Star
Yeah.
Atlas,
Oh
all
yeah.
opening their crew packs live. And then where things got rocky was, in a sense, I think it was the absolute 100% right move and it had to happen. But what
Yes.
happened is they had to pull back the artwork that we had gotten. So I was on my third video. I just finished editing it, like doing the final edit on. I was about ready to launch my third video, opening up my crew packs. And I look on Discord and they're like, oh, like you're all, the artwork won't look like this in a few hours or something where we're changing the artwork. I, the details kind of like I can't really remember, but I was like devastated because I just posted all these videos to the entire public, like this is what like the Star Atlas crew packs look like. Look, this is just a common crew member. Look how awesome it is, you know. But they got the algorithm wrong apparently
Yeah, yeah,
for the artwork. And so what happened was that we were getting basically legendary looking crew cards as commons and uncommons when they should have been legendary and epic crew members. So now we have we have the tier 0 crew art
yep,
and the tier 1 crew art on
yeah.
all those initial first ever crew packs, and plus they didn't have the aptitudes correct, so everyone got these like the command was supposed to be really rare, but there was a ton of people getting command as one of the aptitudes, and so they had to pull back well, they let us keep our aptitudes, they changed the artwork is essentially what happened.
Yeah.
And in a way we got to keep our artwork. I guess every one of those cards has like, if you open it in the play.staratlas.com, you can look back at the existing tier 0 artwork, and they said, hey, that could give value to these cards in the future. These are NFTs, and these NFTs have two different style artworks, But yeah, I put up a little bit of a hissy fit. I had my Whitticus on Tokes moment on that. I even made a video where I was complaining about it. I was just like, man, I spent all this time, like, and like editing and,
Yeah.
putting all this like effort into making 3 videos opening up. And now they were all like, I didn't release a third video, and they were like, it was my own personal business, but it had to be done. I agree. It had to be done.
Yeah.
Like they
Yeah.
couldn't,
Yeah.
they said they spent years making that artwork, having the artist create that artwork, and it like the release went wonky somehow, and they had to pull it back. Otherwise, it wouldn't have made any sense on Tensor.
Well,
But
and I
yeah,
think you hit the
that
nail
was
on the head
yeah,
is it in hindsight, it had to be done. And in hindsight, they're building in public. So it's almost like you can't really fault it when it truly, and I think the team, and maybe it wasn't on this one, but I know I've heard them mention that they can do all the testing they want on the test net, and it can't be 100% replicated in the real world. And as an old IT guy, I kind of like I don't buy that, but I'm not a blockchain person, so I have to accept what they're saying, and I do understand. But it's like, yeah, it had to be fixed because it wasn't the level, as we know, going forward with the idea that these are permanent things. You can trade, you can, they're not just, oh, hey, I copied that and here you can have another copy of it. No, I mean it's unique that it has to be what they intended, and give them credit for biting the bullet and doing the right thing and making it look like they wanted it to look. But yeah, at the time that was rough because people were just, hey, I thought I had this. Well, yeah, it was a bug. Sorry. We fixed the bug. You should be happy now, but yeah, it still wasn't
yeah,
what we
yeah.
intended.
It's funny because I had actually put like six cards I had pulled that I love the artwork so much,
Yeah.
and I had put so much time in trying to decide who was going to be my profile picture, like
Oh, yeah.
my main PFP basically, and I was going to incorporate it into my Beyond the Horizon logo, all this
Yeah.
stuff, and
Yeah.
then they pulled back the artwork, and I didn't have those. I didn't have like any of the cool characters I had before. I was like, oh my god. Since then, thank God for Tensor. I love the
Oh,
Tensor
yeah.
release,
Yeah.
and it
Well,
really
explain
got
Tensor
yeah.
because I didn't have that, but give everybody a reminder what Tensor is.
Yeah, Tensor is an NFT buying and trading platform, and there's a phenomenal amount of information for each of the crew cards. You can actually go there and post your crew cards, buy and sell them, and it basically gives you an idea on the value of each of the crew cards as far as the artistic attributes that the crew
Mm,
cards actually have. So you could find a very, very rare crew card, even though there's a lot more to be released. They have their own version of Anomaly. Like we have Anomaly crew cards as far as like the actual how would I put it? There's the Star Atlas, different commons, uncommons,
hmm.
epics, different tiers.
Yeah. Yeah.
But then they have the artistic angle where this is a legendary card because the artwork and like the trinket, the hairstyle, like just the different, I guess you would say the look of the actual character itself, they give a value to it, so it's
Yeah. Yeah.
so I really enjoy kind of shopping around and being like, oh my god, look at this Punab, it's got this like anomaly helmet, like there's only like it's a very rare helmet, he's got this really cool robe that only a couple is out there, and someone, it's a rare, it has these attributes. You can see all the attributes in Tensor, and then yeah, you can pull the trigger if it's something that you want to play. So like I definitely got addicted because I was collecting it. I was like, oh, I want each one of these, certain mud girls with these really cool hairstyles to be able to like play in the game.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
these mud guys that have these like certain this battle armor. I really like that battle armor, and like I basically like I don't know. I was playing star based to buy my crew pack, my crew members that
yeah, yeah.
until I got all the ones that I wanted. I'm pretty close now.
Cool, cool.
I
Well, and again, that's
don't-
another aspect of
yeah,
how what on the surface was a object inside the game because you got crew in your ship turned out to be, and again, I'm sure the team planned it this way, a totally different thing. I mean, you could just buy and sell crew on Tensor if you wanted to, just like you could buy and sell comic books or baseball cards or whatever, and an entirely different way to interact with another Star Atlas asset. So, I mean, again, forget the opening and the glitches and things like that. I mean, it is something that exists that people could participate in independent of its actual utility within the game.
and it's totally true too because I even flipped a couple crew cards because it would be like there would be like an Ooster that would come out that was an epic that was listed for very like a very low amount. Maybe the person
Hmm.
didn't realize what they had. Maybe it wasn't even a Star Atlas
Yeah,
community person. It was someone else that just got a free crew pack, and then I would relist that Ooster because I already had that artwork of that Ooster. Like, and I didn't need two of that one particular character, and I'd get enough Solana to be able to buy like three more characters that I wanted to.
yeah.
So it was pretty cool. Yeah, it's a pretty
Yeah, yeah.
cool.
Well, speaking of the actual game loop, so in September, the crew now has utility in Sage. So fortunately, unlike the previous switch in Sage, this one did not require a new game ID, which is very, very good because we can't keep moving our stuff around between
Right,
these
right,
virtual things. So crew then became, I guess we'll just call it importable, but more importantly, that your ship inside of Sage now had to have crew or it would not function. But the side benefit was a lot of people were buying ships to do crafting in Sage. Well, now crew by themselves could craft. And so that kind of started opening up different methodologies in the sense that you didn't have to have this ship, but you didn't really care about. You just wanted that one crew. Well, you just go buy your crew, and now they can be independently crafting. So, if anything, it's more of making it more realistic. Ships move between places. They might take crew, they might take cargo, but ships don't craft. Crew craft. And so
right.
we had that come out in September. So again, we're starting to now see, and again, as we said, hold on to the end, everything gets better. This is now
Right.
where now we're finally starting to see these progressions from the original releases Starbased back in March. Now we have the crew, and the crew now become part of Sage, where they do what you would expect them to do. Though it is still funny that crew don't require any food because we know in real life they should be eating, but that's okay. As people joke, we have all this slave labor going on at Star Atlas.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd say that if it wasn't for that pullback of the crew art, that the crew pack launch was amazing. Like it was
Yes, fair
absolutely
enough. That's a
amazing,
good
and
point.
I feel like that was the change of the excitement of the 2024 year, where like went from a very dry spell from Surge
Yes.
all the way to that crew pack release, and then the Tensor really got me personally psyched up. And then we got to see real utility for our crew members
Yes. Yes.
pretty shortly after, where we are actually actively using those crew members in the star-based game, and it gave like a whole like new feel to the gaming loop of crafting. Also, people had to like move, like try to figure out how to transport their crafters around from
Oh,
one
right.
place
Totally
to the
forgot about it.
other.
There's a passenger tab. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So like there's definitely different gaming loops that the crew members added to, and plus it made it like a little bit more immersive. It wasn't, it added a new style to the feel of Starbase. So I loved having that added into the game for sure.
Yeah. Well, moving on, the next thing that happened in late September, and again, we're kind of getting away from gameplay, but back to the announcement conference mode. So, Star Alice went to the Solana Breakpoint conference in Singapore, and they had their first mini conference, we'll call it, dedicated space for one day, and they did, I think it was 6 to 8 hours of content where this was public content. This wasn't just inside a Discord, the Star Atlas Town Halls. This was well, they streamed it. I don't know if it was on the official Solana one, but anyways, I mean, anybody who was at that conference could walk in. It was a free admission, and they had some great panels. Interestingly, I was actually at a business conference, and because it's Singapore, the time zones, I don't even want to try to figure out the math. But anyways, the first one went live when I was sitting down to have dinner, and I by myself, so I wasn't rude to anybody. But I was eating dinner on the last night of my conference. I plugged in my headphones and watched it live. And as anybody who listens to me knows, I don't listen to anything live. It's always during the day. I don't have time, so everything's always late. So I'm never involved in a live chat. And here I am at some burger place, and I'm listening to the first one live, and
That's awesome. Yeah.
it was. And again, I know that's just something I can't do because again, I work during the day like you do, but we work differently. I got a desk job. I'm own my own business. So if I'm not working, I'm not making money. So I can't
Right.
say,
Right.
oh, I'm gonna stop and listen to the Atlas Brew. Now maybe someday I'll have employees, and then I can be whatever, go play golf type of thing. But I can't right now. I mean, I gotta stay on track. And but again, they're recorded. I can listen later. It's fine. But that was the first cool part to that. But the actual content I think was excellent, and it would have been cool to, of course, go in person, but I can't afford to go to Singapore. But as a Star Atlas event, to have the team there. One of the presentations was the three co-founders, apparently first time they've ever spoken in public together. Then they had more things. They had some community guilds had a presentation, builders had some stuff. They had booths, and that's not even the actual official booth, which was in the actual conference. They had a gaming tournament. They had something, still to this day, not 100% sure what they were playing, but sounds like it was a Surge-like thing, or maybe it's what we have now. Again, I'm still waiting to. I wasn't there, so I didn't see it. And a lot of people didn't take videos of what they were looking at and show us to all the people
Yeah.
at stay home. But I think again that was a great event. It was great for us to watch the videos there. I know you did some snippets and put it together. I condensed it into I think one video, but I think it was a great outreach. Again, they had and they hackathon. What did they call it? Nabathon.
The
So they had
Nabathon. Yeah.
yeah. So I mean, to just again, now we can start being a little more retrospective. Again, they released these things. They had the town hall in July, but we got crew packs, we got some other things, and then they kind of bring out all of this stuff. And again, some new videos, some of the trailers. I mean, it was a very, very interesting to consume the content remotely of all this stuff. And it kind of, I think, now in hindsight, took away a little bit of the doldrum of the summer and go, hey, there's a lot going on here. So what was your take on the Impact Summit / Breakpoint?
Man, I loved it. On the East Coast, because I live on the East Coast, it
Oh
was
yeah, yeah, yeah,
happening
yeah. I'm on the West
completely
Coast.
on the middle of the night for me. So I had to wait until morning to rewatch it, and it was all on
Yeah.
Star Atlas, the Star Atlas's YouTube channel. And I immediately did Michael Wagner's keynote speech that was like kind of in the middle of it, and broke
Yep.
it down. And they had all the really cool special trailers. We got to see the F4 trailers where they had finalized the F4 ship and made those really cool
Yep.
trailers. We got to see a bunch of our DACs at the beginning of Breakpoint, which was awesome. We got Dan Park and Glenn talking about
Yes.
the DAO
Forgot
with
about that one. Yep.
Tuesday. Yeah, who introduced what is now playable just
Yeah.
as of a couple weeks ago. But Brad
That's
was
right.
showing us how we were going to be able to fly ships around from planet to planet, and he had that like little trailer that was almost like where it was like the guy was on the mission talking to the oosters and stuff like
Oh,
that.
you're
Do you
right.
remember
It
that?
looked like
Yeah,
a real
yeah.
game. It was a
Yeah, that was a
real
lot of
honest to
fun. That was
goodness
cool.
game.
Yeah, yeah. And then we had the Nabathon, like you said, the three
Mhm.
founders. That was an awesome segment right there. Chris from economics was
Oh,
there
yep.
talking
Yep.
about
Yep.
things. Yeah, yeah. And then Metamona was an awesome host. She did a great
Yes.
job. Like, yeah. And then we had all the familiar faces, like in the crowd there. A bunch of
Yep.
our, our compadres had
Yeah.
made the trip all the way out. And we had all these different booths. Like Nord was there with the Super Phoenix, for
Yep.
instance. And
Yep.
like you said, we had the tournament
Oh, who's
downstairs. Yeah.
Lordo? He was
Yeah,
his
Lordo was all
costume
dressed.
was
Yeah, yeah.
unbelievable. Yeah.
During the DAC segment. Yeah, he had
Yeah.
the Grim Reaper costume
Yeah,
basically. It
that's
was like the
dedication,
Skull and
man.
Bones for
Yeah. That is
the Skull and
dedication.
Bones Guild. Yeah. Yeah, that was great, man. And then afterwards, we got Atlas Theory and Shaddix released
Yep.
their little short film about it, which is really cool that we got to see like what it was like to be on the floor. Love it. You know, shout out to Atlas Theory and Shaddix for doing that for us.
Yeah, no, that was
Cool
great.
stuff, man.
Yeah, yeah. So that's September, but it was late September. So we're hitting the stride. So now we're in October, and the two big things. One was the Dow Council elections occurred. So if I remember correctly, it was two voting rounds based on the rules. There was some really complicated voting. It wasn't one vote equals one. No, no, sorry. If you vote, I can't even remember. It was complicated, but it worked. And the outcome was we got the Dow Council of 5 representatives elected. So that was the continuation of the original Dow release back in July. The the original PIPs were passed, and then and rightly so. There was time for people to submit their candidacies to the council. There was multiple times. I think there was actually an Atlas brew where each person got like 2 minutes to talk. So I mean, there was a campaign cycle, ironically, matching the U.S. campaign cycle, but that's totally different. And then those 5 were elected. So that was the big thing in October. Yeah. So as the actually, I guess we basically have an October events and then one December event. So yeah, so the council election. So any thoughts you have on the council?
Oh, I think it went so well. I was happy to see it all work. You know, I had a couple guys in there that I wanted to also make it to the main council, but the council members we got were like all ones that are amazing. I think Kriggs was a popular favorite, but he personally dropped out just
Yeah,
due to his job.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Um, but yeah, everyone that we got, like all 5 members, seemed to be doing a fabulous job. Everyone's getting along. I think the debate that they had, like you were talking about on
yeah,
the Atlas Brew, was a lot of fun to listen to. The 2 minute segment, I think like you said, there was two different ones, I believe.
yeah,
One when they had each got to talk for 2 minutes and talk a little bit about themselves, whoever wanted to show up. And then the following one was the actual debate with the 12 members that we had to
yeah,
vote
yeah.
between, I believe is how it all worked.
Yeah, no, that sounds
Yeah,
right.
but
Yeah, because
yeah,
yeah,
yeah, but our democracy, our Star Atlas democracy
yeah,
basically worked out, and we got 5 community, basically DAO team members to
hmm,
take the council right there to help lead in the pips, and I'm excited to see where it goes from here. It
yeah.
seems like
No, we have what was kind of the original intent of that why we have Polis and things like that. So
yeah,
one other
cool,
small thing that happened in October, but this is near to my heart because I'm in marketing. A marketing director was officially announced, and she attended an
yeah.
Atlas Brew. And even though I can't say anything because it's in the foundation room, she communicates in the foundation room. There, see, that's not saying what she said. That's just saying what I didn't say. But I do think, and again, I know I'm really biased toward marketing since I run a marketing company myself. I really think it showed, and again, I don't know the timing, the hiring, or all of that stuff, but I think it really shows Star Atlas is coming out of the layoffs whenever those occurred because I can't remember the right dates, but that this is something, and it shows I think the desire to do an outward community is important, but marketing is where you get your name and your brand out there. And so, as much as we as content creators are trying to do that too, no faulting anyone at Star Atlas, but if you're going to lay off a ton of people, yeah, you got marketing go first. You keep the developers, and they kept the community team, which made a lot of sense. But the fact that they've brought someone on board in a director position, I think really shows they're ready for hey, we're going to do some stuff. And it will be, I think, interesting to see as she gets into the mix and does traditional marketing things where that brings for the future. And again, we did hear, I know we're jumping almost to the end, but the town hall, she had a presentation, was talking about stuff. So I mean, it was good to hear that. And I think, yeah, well, it's just near and dear to my heart, obviously.
Yeah. Yeah, it's cool that Francesca is a big part of the team. She's very, very easygoing. It seems like she
Yeah,
likes to come out and talk on the brew, which is really cool because we always like when people like to communicate with our,
yeah,
little tight-knit community.
yeah,
She's a gamer herself. She worked on past games and, in marketing in the past. And yeah, and she seems to love Star Atlas and love the people involved. So yeah, total props that, whoever did the hiring found the correct
yeah.
person for the job. Thank you, Francesca, for joining our family for sure. And also we got Archetype. She, as
Yes, I
her,
forgot. There's actually a marketing
yeah.
department now.
Yeah, an archetype has now been hired. I'm not too sure if he's full-time or part-time. I don't know the specs on that, but he is technically working for Automata right now.
Yep.
They announced. So we have actually two people in marketing,
Yeah.
which is cool. And if you guys don't know out there, Archetype is he is the foundation leader of Atlas Grace, our charity, but he has his hands in all sorts of stuff. He also is part of the DAC, the Atlas Brew Coffee, called Dark Core Roasters, and he's a phenomenal artist that has done artwork for numerous different Star Atlas either events or community led projects. And the best artists out there for sure in the in my
Yeah.
opinion for Star Atlas. So now he is creating art for our community for Automata, I should say.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, Francesca and the two of them to combined, what a great asset that we have for the marketing team.
Agreed. Well, we're in the
Yeah.
final stretch. The last three events that I highlighted, also in October, was I guess we'll call it the second iteration of the Golden Carnival. So if people don't remember the first one, Golden Carnival is a thing where you craft or purchase a golden ticket. As I think you do a lot on your videos, you pull all those golden tickets from Willy Wonka and South Park
Yeah.
and all that. I always love your outtakes. But so anyway, so that's occurring. And the cool thing was this one, unlike the first one, I think it is supposed to be 16 weeks. So it's maybe not even halfway done yet. So another great way for the community to have another thing, though, as we'll keep picking on Metaverse Explorer. He's not into gambling, so he's not into it. But, I think it is, just like a lot of things we've been talking about. A lot of people can get involved in whatever parts they like. So if nothing else, again, it's an ongoing thing. You can call it a community driven thing, a raffle where you can maybe win. I mean, people play the lotto all the time, though the odds are completely not in their favor ever to win, but you still feel like it's there. So that's the second generation of that. So I don't know if you have any comments on the Golden Carnival second
Well,
version.
I think it just adds another level to our Starbase game because it adds one more
Yes.
gaming loop that we can
Yep.
actually layer on top of everything that we are already getting. It's actually making Starbase a real game. It's a new sync that we could use with our crafters and our different items that we're actually mining for and crafting. So we could actually, decide whether we're just going to go after LP or we're going to go
Hmm.
after, golden tickets. And you don't have to gamble. You can actually just craft the golden tickets and you can sell
Yep.
them on the
That's true. Yep.
marketplace, So there's a lot of different things that it adds. If there's any devs out there, speaking of marketing, I think that there is one negative thing that is going on is that they're not airing or no one's recording the Golden Ticket Carnivals on Fridays. The first one was
Oh,
kind of half recorded by Star Atlas TV, but no one's been recording and posting the Golden Carnivals, and it's phenomenal to listen to. It's a really community building
huh.
event. I feel like it's really a lot of funny things happen, but I have not been able to attend any of the Golden Carnivals since the first one. And so I feel like I'm missing out on the whole
Yeah.
Golden Carnival. And I think that not only should Star Atlas be recording it and putting it on their YouTube, but they should actually like be posting that on X so people can actually see like, oh my gosh, I want to like buy golden tickets and like and see if I win the raffle. I'll throw in $5 worth.
Yeah.
So I think it's a big marketing opportunity they're losing
Yes.
out on not recording these. So yeah, if anyone's out there, the whole Golden Carnival thing is awesome, but yeah, devs, man, record this thing and put it out there so we can all watch it because a lot of us are that's
Yeah.
during our workday,
Yeah.
in America at least,
Yeah. Well,
right in the
no.
dead center of our workday.
Yeah, and that's a good thing.
So
And one we should call out just as a random, Starless TV has done an incredible service. I mean, I don't
heck yeah.
think I would. I mean, your videos are great. Metaverse Explorer videos are great, but being able to rewatch, or excuse me, watch delayed the Atlas Brew because there's a lot of great content for that hour. And again, compliments to the Star OS community team for doing that on a regular basis, showing up every week. But yeah, without the recordings, doesn't exist. So it's funny you mentioned the Golden Carnival. I totally didn't know either of those were occurring. I guess I just assumed you'd check the site the next day and you find out if you won or not. But yeah, I think I guess if well, actually, I'll use my marketing hat for a second. This should be nothing wrong with Star Wars TV. Excellent work you're doing, but if the community team is doing it, they just need to hit the record button and then they put it up on their own YouTube channel. I mean, you don't have to do a ton of editing. I mean, just put it out there as lives. I mean, Metaverse Nomads did their thing live. Kepler.net does their thing live. Yeah, I mean, there's our wish. That's our wish for 2025 that
yeah,
everything
I
the
already
team does
told
is
all
recorded.
three. Yeah. I told all three of the brew guys, each
Yeah.
separately, like, hey, make sure you guys record it. And they said they were going to make it happen, but it hasn't happened yet. So
Yeah.
I'm not too sure what the reason is. If it's just a, a misstep, everyone keeps forgetting to
Yeah.
hit I know
But
Dominic, part of it's on Twitch, on Dominic's Twitch, but not the
oh,
whole
okay.
entire. Yeah, and I tried to go back and rewatch it on his channel, but on his Twitch channel, but it only
Yeah.
has like only parts of it sometimes. Sometimes.
Yeah.
So
Okay, we're in the home, really on the home stretch. Last two. So in December, the local markets, Sage, which is called Sage, local markets were released. As I mentioned on my podcast, I think this was one of the most well rolled out, not technically, but just information. We had Atlas Brews about it. Chris in Economy talked about it. I mean, we knew what was coming. We knew so much about it, and then it released rightly so 2 weeks before they went on break, so plenty of time to get bug fixes. But regardless of all that rollout, I this is one of the things that seems to me to finally like open the floodgates for players, admittedly just in Starbase or in Sage. You still got to be in the economy and all that, but changing the entire dynamics. And with that came the what? Oh yeah, the word you hated, RFRs, to
yeah.
infrastructure contracts, ICs. But again, it was the mechanism by which we could craft some things and then immediately turn it into Atlas. So a direct, no, playing the LP market and all that other stuff. I mean, you could just craft stuff and get something dedicated returned on that process. So and it's new. I mean, this is literally what 3 weeks old now. And but again, I think as far as the concept, the rollout of the concept, the actual rollout, any bug fixes after that, and then how it totally to me changes the gameplay of the Sage is again, we told you, but wait till the end and things
Yeah,
would get a
yeah.
lot better. Well, this seems to me to be one of those. What's your take?
It is. I just hope that people listen to this whole entire show because maybe I went as a negative Nancy for a big chunk of it, but this is like where everything all fell together. Like the
Yeah.
whole entire year where they were like, started to say 2024 is our year. Well, man, it kind of almost feel like it happened right in the last few
Yeah.
weeks of the year.
Yeah.
I don't know. They had said that there was not going to be any new big updates to Sage in 2024. It would be the beginning of 2025, and
Yeah.
then they
Yep.
released that, and then they said no updates to Unreal Engine, which we're going to get to in just a minute.
Yep.
But this made Starbase now feel like a game. I haven't done many videos on it because I'm still feeling it out. But man, we have so many different gaming loops that now that like so many different angles that we can go by. I did do a couple talking about, the prospected angles on
Hmm.
it, but I hadn't had a chance to like it wasn't released yet. But like you said, just leading up to it, we had so much information that I was actually able to make a couple comprehensive videos on what the actual local marketplaces were going to bring us, and also what those RFRs that are now infrastructure contracts.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like what
Well,
those
you had
like.
a let's give credit to you. You had a hilarious cartoon comic on the naming of us.
But yeah, that was great. I love it. Love it, love it, love it. And then I'm gonna be making a lot of content on it in the
Yeah.
future. And if you have, used to play Starbased and you got frustrated and threw your ships into your wallet or in faction fleet, I definitely recommend trying out the game again because it's a whole new game now. There's
Yeah.
so many different things that you could do and I'm actually making a pretty decent amount of Atlas, knock on wood, tut, 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 tut. But I'm making a decent amount of Atlas at the moment. I changed up my whole gaming style. There's no more crafting, just boring crafting at the CSS,
Yeah.
mining and crafting. I'm no more fuel crafting. I'm actually out
Yeah.
there doing stuff. It's fun.
Yeah.
It's a fun
Yeah.
game now.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. Well, you've alluded to the finals, so let's get to the final thing. And the final thing was
Woohoo!
the town hall. So this was, I mean, again, I'm already forgetting the Christmas, but I mean, it was the Wednesday before Christmas, a week before Christmas. No hype. No, we're gonna do anything. They started town hall, and you're doing a video series. You're on the third one of it, and so definitely check those out, or just listen to it. But low hype, immediately into, if I remember correctly, oh, Mike Wagner did a quick review, and then they immediately went to a live demo of the UE5 showroom. And I mean, maybe this is again what was at Breakpoint. I don't know, but I mean, they were showing stuff and it was great. They then moved on and showed some of the other features. Again, you've been putting out videos already about the what do we call it? Project Gallia. I don't know if it's still called that. And then the actual CSS stuff. And again, sounds like you're going to do a couple more videos, maybe of the other things
Yeah.
that are in there. And then almost every team talked, marketing talked, community talked. I mean, it was 2.5 hours, 2:15. I mean, they touched everything. And then, spoiler, at the end, they released a new version of UE5 and said, have fun. We're going on break for 2 weeks. And yeah, I mean, again, we're still, it's only 10 days later, but if you're going to end on a positive note with not trailers now, I mean, those were live. Oh, there was a shooter. They showed some
Yep. Yep.
shooting that now you can do your own multiplayer hosted or something. Again, there's almost too much content. And I guess that's where your videos are awesome because you can take that one chunk out and you're doing it live. But that town hall, one makes up for the July one, hands down, builds upon whatever was shown at the Impact Summit. And yeah, forget all our negativity, or we weren't negative. That summer was negative. There wasn't a lot.
Yeah.
It ends on this like totally upbeat mode. And if there's even the smallest nitpick, but they didn't promise it wouldn't be, is it sounds like the showroom is kind of buggy. It's not everything works. But again, it we got local markets and they work. I mean,
Yeah.
they didn't say this was live like they did a year ago. And that's where I guess I want to roll this all together. The UE5 version that came out a year ago kind of didn't again, it was this is a years of progress and it shows. And your video you just put out where you're going through the district and you have to speed it up because it's so big.
Oh,
I
yeah.
commented on your post. I'm like, oh my word. And like you said, there was like two or three guys I hired, and that's all they've been working on. And you look at it and like, wait, we're running around in that now. Again, there's nobody there again, but that's not the point. The point is what you can experience and knowing that, like, I think weren't you trying to find the shooter game? Like, was
Pin.
inside one of the buildings. Anyways, okay.
Yeah.
You've
Yeah.
been doing
Yeah.
more on the town hall than I have, but I was still just blown away by the volume of information communicated in 2+ hours. So
Yeah, it's awesome. And it's so funny because I'm only taking it piece by piece.
yeah.
How the Unreal Engine, the amount of content that they released, I'm I'm only 3 segments in, and there's still like I think like 4 more videos of me just like playing the different things that they released on Unreal Engine 5. It's awesome. I just recently acquired a new computer. So I haven't really seen a lot of the bugs. The biggest bug I had was actually getting a wallet connected to it. I'm still hopefully going to be able to hash that out once the team gets back from vacation.
Oh
But I
yeah,
gotta like
that seems
create
like
a
one of
yeah.
those that they just need a couple hours and
Yeah, yeah. So,
yeah,
but
it's
yeah,
so
other
obvious
than
what's
that,
broke.
like everything's been playing really smooth. So, I mean, maybe a lot of the bugs has to do with like, you need a pretty good graphics card to run run the actual Unreal Engine 5 showroom at the moment. But
Yeah.
it's great. So the only Central Space Station, the Sogmian place, it's massive, like you said. I can't stop having fun flying around. It's called Entergalia is what it's called. Like,
Oh, okay.
you
Oh,
know,
the
yeah.
warping between planets
Yeah,
and they're all
or you
procedural.
get
Yeah.
to subwarp to different planets
Yeah.
and dune buggy around the planets. That's so much fun. And then what else? I'm trying to think of what else I made a
Well, the
video
shooter. I
of so
mean,
far.
you were
Yeah,
in
yeah.
you
The
were in
shooter I
that.
haven't really played. Yeah, yeah. I haven't really played, even attempted to play that. So that's going to be one of my next videos. And then we have the fleet command that you can actually see in real
Yes.
time on the blockchain.
That's the buggy part. Metaverse Explorer did that and it crashed his computer. So that's why I was
Yeah.
saying it's buggy.
Yeah, I actually went in there too, and I guess that was a little, but I didn't have near the problem that he had,
Oh,
but
okay, okay.
it was a little buggy, like zooming into the planets and stuff like that.
Uh
Hopefully, I can get, but I also don't have the best internet connection where my computer
oh,
is, so it could be something like that too. So
sure.
hopefully, I get some good footage for a future video of that. But it was great. The whole town hall was amazing.
Yeah.
They talked like everything was just such good positive news about
Hmm.
what's going on in the future in 2025. I can't wait to see, the releases, start popping out. I think I think that it was like, it was a bit of a grenade. We had a little bit of a delay there, over the summer,
Yep.
with the
Yeah.
big pivot that they
Hmm.
were having, and then now we're going to start getting releases, and we were supposed to get the surge, the actual like real surge, where instead of just that little battle arena and at the Oni CSS, I think we're supposed to get like a true surge where we're going to have a whole bunch of game modes,
Oh, yes,
and
they have
that's
mentioned, yeah, multiple game
yeah,
mode
and that's
types. Yeah.
still coming out.
Yeah.
Still coming out. They said like in a couple months, hopefully. I think
Yeah.
they're just trying. The reason that people were able to play it, I believe, in the last, at Breakpoint, and then the when Michael Wagner was in the Philippines, there they're basically playing like a landline version of it, where they're all
Oh,
like the
yes,
computers are connected. I think
I
they're
heard that.
waiting for something to go on with like for everything to work out with Epic Games, like for
Yes. The Epic Game Store will
multiplayer.
be the
So.
host. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So it won't be Metagravity, but Epic Games. So once all that gets panned out, I think we even have that release coming soon. So it's going to be a great year, 2025. It's just, it's funny because Christmas was a little like bit of a downtick as far as crypto goes, right? When we get all these big
Mm,
releases for Atlas, and as soon as, Bitcoin starts smiling again and crypto, altcoins start to pump again, all of a sudden everyone's going to be like, whoa, look at what Star Atlas is doing,
yeah.
and yeah, I
Yeah.
think we might get a little hype pretty soon here. So.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, what a great month December was. Like
Yes.
getting the all everything for Starbase and everything for your Unreal Engine 5, plus all that other information that all the other people
Yeah.
in the town hall brought to
Yeah.
us. It was awesome.
No, it was a great. And my only critique has been, and I've said it for a couple, and I forget, I don't think this was my idea, but just like the econ team is doing a monthly thing, I wish the subject matter of a town hall wasn't every 6 months. I think, if they did it monthly, and again, I don't think you have to promise things. You don't have to do it. You don't have to release things, but just seeing the town hall could have been broken into 6 months, and the momentum would have been so much more because I hate to say it, but it was a week before Christmas. A lot of our attentions are elsewhere, and
Yeah.
it's great. It's a great way to end the year. I mean, there's something cathartic about, hey, here's all this stuff we did, and by the way, here's this version. It's okay if there's little bugs, but you get to play it. But it'd be like, man, there was so much content there. If it was stretched out ever so slightly, and we see each one of these modules come for as an alpha, I think again, and that may just be could just be style. They might just like the big releases or big announcements. That's fine. I can't. You can do whatever you want. You have the knowledge, but that's about my only thing is there's just so much there that hopefully we don't all come back in January and go, well, what's next? Because there's so much that was there to do. And again, we'll see. Again, the future is to be determined. Again, this is the
Yeah.
year in review. This isn't the year ahead.
You know who
So,
does a really good what you're almost talking about? I've been following Wilder World for a while. I was following them
oh,
a long time ago before they started even developing when I first discovered Star Atlas 2. But then I've really been following them a lot for the past year. I don't play the game at all, but or own any of their NFTs or anything like that. But I follow them because I find them like very closely paralleling Star Atlas, and also Michael Wagner seems to really like always be giving them shout outs and stuff.
oh,
But they put out like this like I don't I think it's like maybe like a bi-monthly newsletter, and it's like
mm,
it shows everything that the team's been developing and a bunch of
yeah,
sneak peeks and stuff like that, explaining everything like that. And I really enjoy what like how they deliver their information. It would be cool if Star Atlas maybe does that, because the Atlas brew is amazing. The guys are like love them, absolutely love them,
yeah,
but
yeah,
they're a
yeah.
little, I don't know, convoluted, and like they only know so much and stuff like that. And the way the
Hmm.
Wilder World, it's almost like a letter to the people from the CEO of Wilder World there, and like like telling everyone what exactly is going on. And it's pretty lengthy too, usually pretty
Yeah,
lengthy with some sneak peeks of a bunch of pictures, kind of like what the foundation room people get, but all
yeah,
segmentized into like a two
yeah,
bi-monthly letter. But yeah, and I'll throw that out there too. I also agree that would be awfully nice,
yeah,
keep people up to date,
yeah.
and then it would be
Plus, it
give
helps with
content
content
creators,
creation if we have
yeah, it
no
gives
more
content
things.
creators something to like actually organize. It's an
Yeah,
organized
yeah,
piece of information. It's pretty cool.
yeah. Well,
So
that's the year in review. However, I thought we could do one fun thing at the end because it's always about the lists. So start thinking about this. What is the worst part of 2024 for Star Alice? And then, of course, we end on a positive note. What was the best? And so I'll go first with the worst. And kind of relates to the town hall. The crew app, the play to move app being mentioned as probably not going to happen, or at least not soon, and maybe they're going to outsource it and all that. And I remember earlier in the year, and in fact, it might have been my interview when I did with Jose, mentioning, and it really blew my mind at the time, that the entry point for Star Atlas isn't a ship, because that's what I've always thought. They're ships. It was crew. You would buy a crew and you would get into the game and you would level up your crew, and then eventually maybe you'd get enough to buy a ship. And you kind of think of space epics, and ships are important, don't get me wrong. Millennium Falcon, I mean, ships are important, but you're still the person. And the idea of how a game, you make it you and you're in the game, and the crew is literally how you look in the game. But you have to then get a ship. And again, if you think of the pricing, not the current pricing, but the whatever VWAP, whatever, the originals, the cheapest ship's $20. I mean, it's not insignificant, but the
Mhm.
cheapest crew is like $5. And so, I mean, yes, I'm still thinking from a, US perspective, $5 in a different country is maybe bigger. But again, the idea of proportion. And I don't know. Maybe it's just I see my wife and she buys so many gems in some crazy game that I'm like, that could be this thing. And years ago, Pokemon Go. I mean, all of this stuff. And so I have to admit, the worst. And again, it's not never, but it was always like the crew app, just to me, was that thing that really would put it there. I mean, I can kind of accept that maybe we're going away from the browser games, because web browsers everybody can play, and now you have to be in UE5, so you have to have a gaming PC and all that. But I don't know why that one just kind of hit me really hard as being, ugh, you know. And again, it's not that it's never coming out, but there. And then the second thing that to me the worst, but it's very focused, and I really just thought of it while we were talking. We've only got really two versions of the UE5 in 1 year. And maybe it's because they were building all this stuff, because the current version has so much in there. But the fact that it took a year to get a really another playable. Last Christmas, I treated myself to a video card, and I never started Star Atlas ever, the showroom,
Mhm.
in an entire year. And we had Sage, we had other things, again, it just takes time, but there was nothing to do in it. I mean, it had lost all its luster after the first quarter. But again, hey, I got my video card. The showroom's awesome now. I hope to play it next week. But anyways, those are big worst, and then worst, but not really, because there's a new version. But I just hope going forward that the UE5 client comes out in way more frequency. And again, it all sounds like it will. But again, we're talking 2024. We're not. This isn't a production show. So those are my two worst things. So what were your two worsts?
I guess, see, the crew app, actually, I agree. I was thinking that possibly that it just that hasn't hit me how bad it's going to be. And they did say they have a third party that is
Yeah.
possibly going to create it, but I can't tell you how many people I argued with on like YouTube comments and stuff, being like, there is no game. And I'm like, you just wait. They're gonna have three games, and
Yes.
apparently there's only gonna be two possibly. But the
Well, no,
crew
one,
app,
right?
how
One.
important.
It's all UE5. There
Yeah, it's
is no
all gonna be
browser
one.
game.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. But
Pre-command is
I think
not
it's
browser.
so. I think that was the one gaming loop that I was thinking that a person in a third world country can come up
Yes.
with $5 American,
Yeah.
by themselves, one crew member. They can exercise. A lot of third world countries in like
Mhm.
say Central America, they play football, or aka soccer. They can like exercise and play football with their phone in their pocket. They can level up these characters, and then they can sell them, like for like maybe three, four, five times the price that they paid
Yeah.
for them, because they leveled up their aptitudes to 100%. I just think that was like such a cool, unique aspect that
Yeah.
Star Atlas was going for, and they did say that they possibly might
Mhm.
pull through. I really hope they put all their intentions on trying to get a third party creator on that, because I just almost feel like it has to happen. That is like, how else are we going to level up our aptitudes on our characters? We had all that where,
Oh,
with the crew cards, right? Like, well, it has to
yeah.
happen.
Oh, I totally forgot about that.
Yeah.
How do we level up a character? Oh, wow.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
has,
Good.
that was how we did it. So we'll see how that all works. So
Yeah. Yeah.
I haven't put I know like the way Metaverse Explorer had like put it in his video that it was, that was finalized, but they didn't say it was finalized. They said that they're working with a huge major fitness app,
Yeah.
company that could take it over. So I'm hoping that that'll work. How it'll work with the blockchain, I'm not too sure, but we'll see.
Yeah.
I was thinking just for I, I feel like I was the most frustrated with the release of Starbase during that whole, like, I just thought the timing on that was
Mm.
like
Hmm.
just so bad. I talked about earlier in this video.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how frustrated I was. And the most devastated I was for a unique moment was when they like took away our crew cards, So those are
Yeah.
for me personally, those like
Yeah.
I mean, I already voiced it in this video, but
Yeah.
those were the ones that were like the gut wrenchers for me.
Yeah.
I thought I was really hitting my stride with regular Sage Labs, and then Starbase came out and it was just like Solana blockchain was just fighting us. So
Yeah.
that was a tough one. That was
Yeah.
it's so long. It was still less than a year ago, but it seems so long ago that it's the impact's not quite there. But at that time, we were all like pulling our hair out. So
Yeah.
that was tough.
That's a good. That's the yeah.
Yeah.
Those are definitely low points. So I'll let you immediately go. Okay, so what's the best of 2024 for Star Atlas? Looking back,
Oh,
what
it's
was?
kind of, yeah. Boy, what a flip! It's a flip to, like you said, it was one of the worst. Was the Unreal Engine hasn't come out in so long, but that's
Yeah.
actually my favorite part now because
Yeah.
I needed I needed this for my channel. My channel was
Oh no.
50% information
Yeah.
on Star Atlas and 50% me and my son playing Unreal
Yeah.
Engine 5, side of things. And it was like, it was it's so fun to me. It was the whole reason I started making content in the first place was to actually like showcase the showroom and all the ships and stuff like that. And now I can finally do it again. And the original showroom had gotten so buggy that I haven't even been able to do anything in so long.
Hmm.
I believe that's because they weren't tending to it, like as they were
Yeah.
building out this newer version of it. And so they just kind of like let it go to the wayside. Me and a couple other content creators that focus on the showroom a lot for content creation had been constantly reaching out to like the dev team, being like, please help us. And they were kind of like, but they couldn't tell us that a new version was coming out. So
Yeah.
they were
Yeah.
just kind
Yeah.
of like,
Now in
kind of like,
hindsight, it
ah,
makes
yeah, in
perfect
hindsight
sense.
now, yeah, now we're like, yay, we got this, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, I love this. It's gonna give me months of creation content
Hmm.
that I can make little short 2-minute videos for Twitter. I can make the long time like alongside videos for for YouTube, and then I can do, just have fun in general, even if I'm not making a video.
Yeah.
I love it. So
Yeah. Agreed. And the promise that this well, I guess maybe one we can if it takes another year to come out with another UE5 version, I think we all got to stop kidding ourselves. I mean, this
yeah,
cannot last another 12 months and nothing changes. But again, doesn't sound that way. But again,
right.
I don't think we would have said that. I think I could have said the same thing a year ago and been wrong. So, we've been around Star House long enough. You can't predict anything. So,
Yeah, I'm hoping that, like a lot of the funding for Star Atlas is from them selling stuff, on the marketplace, so that we
yeah,
need more players in order
yeah.
to be purchasing and stuff on the marketplace. And then the other thing is they also hold a lot of Atlas and Polus, and with the coins being down so low,
Mm,
that's how they keep the lights on, is like selling a little bit of Atlas, selling a little Polus. Well,
yeah,
they're not getting enough of a profit to keep the lights on for a lot of people. You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
they need,
yeah, yeah,
when if the price of those tokens tend to go up, we'll be able to, they'll be able to hire more people, not, hopefully one day. So
yeah,
yeah, here's to 2025 being a really good altcoin season, in crypto. It'll
yeah.
help us all out, and it'll make a lot more people discover Star Atlas for sure, and
Well, my
Web3 in
best
general.
is and again, I don't think I'm gonna use it as much as others, but I am happy the concept exists. And it is the local markets. I've said many times on my podcast, I'm not an economist. I don't understand GDP. I know enough to pay my taxes and pay bills, but the progression of, and again, that's all we had was Sage, but the progression to local markets, which even though they announced it and it was there, it really that would not have been on the radar early on in the year that we're going to end the year with this thing called local markets. People had talked about it. It was, but people have talked about combat. They've talked about a lot of functionality. But when you really get that multiple weeks or months of learning about it until it shows up, and then local markets came with the infrastructure contracts, with the LP still exists. The mining and the scanning and the transport and the crafting and all of this together is the foundation. And it's been mentioned, I think, in a lot of places. Sure, people are going to go in and fly a ship and maybe interact with the blockchain once or twice. And there's a ton of blockchain parts in Sage, and the local markets really show that power where now you're literally selling to somebody else in the thing. And it's no different than if I go buy whatever widget in my town and I go to a different town and they sell that widget differently because it costs more for transport or whatever. It's like, if you're going to say that Star Atlas is an ecosystem that has its own economy, you needed this thing. You couldn't keep moving all your stuff back to a central place. The world doesn't work like that. It's decentralized. I, as much as I don't get economics, I don't get any of this. The power that this thing seems to bring, I wish it was easier for people to get in, and maybe it will be. Maybe all the other people figure out how we can take advantage, like you said, back to the Sage Labs was working, and there were good returns and all that stuff. Local markets finally seems like, well, now it's infinite. There's not infinite, but there's so many more places to do different things. So I don't know. To me, it just seems like this is finally the thing that moves it forward. Again, I don't know if it brings new players in. It's not for that, but it puts that underlying thing, to me, really seems like, again, the DAO was great. The crew is cool, but again, what do we do with them? This finally seems like the first thing that starts to move forward on that foundation. Forget the graphics and all this, but it really, to me, shows that yes, this economy can exist because it's multifaceted. And again, I'm sure there's more they're going to add on to it in the future, but this was the first time it, to me anyways, it moved forward. And that to me is why in the year in review, as much as I agree with you on the UE5, but I had to pick something different, put those two things together. And yeah, all the other stuff was great, but now it feels like we have something going in to the new year. So I'll leave it on that one. So
Yeah, well, Matt, man, that was my number two for sure is local markets. And it's so funny we got both of our favorites in like the last few weeks of the year,
yeah, I know.
And Matt, wow, if they weren't able to like pull those out, like it would have been kind of like a frowny pants year from everything else that we talked about. Like, boy,
Yeah.
what we ended up on such a happy note,
Yeah. I mean, I still
But
think they could release both of them in January and it would have been a great momentum thing because it wouldn't have had the
yeah,
holidays. But the fact that they put local markets out in early December, I think was the perfect timing. They added the, icing on the cake with the UE5 and I don't remember, but there were a whole lot of stuff talked about at the town hall for next year. It's just, I
yeah,
hate to say it, but we've been around this long enough. Words, well, they said it. Which guy said it? Show, don't tell. And they did
yeah,
that in the town hall. And if that's their mantra or mantra going into next year, yeah, I mean, again, I'm not a whatever cheerleader that, oh, that's going to be great. I don't care. I'm just trying to play a game. But the pieces are starting to fall into place. And like
yeah,
you are finding in the showroom, and I want to explore myself, there's a lot of pieces in there. And if
yeah,
again
yeah,
they just were quiet about that for a year, all will be, who cares? If we start
yeah.
getting an actual shooter that we can go into every day and things like that. So anyways. Great. Well, any
I think
last minute to say thank you so much. I was just looked at the clock and totally lost track of time, but this has been a great conversation. So, any
thank you
final
so
things or
much for
anything?
having me.
Yeah, no, thank you. And again, it was great. I mean, just to go through things and talk things out. So yeah, thanks for all your time. Hope everybody who stayed with us to the end. This will be my longest podcast ever. That's that. There's nothing wrong. They
Yeah, you
can.
might have to split it in two. We'll see. We'll see when it
Oh
comes
no,
out.
I have my cadence. I got to release once a week, man. So
Yeah,
yeah,
so
this will be my special episode. It'll go all up. But anyways, yeah, thanks for all your time. Thanks for all your thoughts. Again, a pleasure to have you on. Again, I'll put your social links in the descriptions and things like that. So any final words? Otherwise, again,
no,
thanks for
hey,
your time.
happy holidays. Thanks for
Yeah.
guest starring in my Christmas video.
Oh yeah, that was awesome. Like I
Yeah,
said, if they have video of the year again for 2024, I mean they should do it on a yearly cycle. I mean, you nailed it, man. You nailed it.
oh, thanks, dude.
Yeah. Cool. Well,
But yeah,
anyways,
thanks to the whole community. Yeah, that was
yeah,
great.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
but
Well, thanks
Appreciate
everybody
it.
for listening. Hope you enjoyed this chat, a year in review. When you hear this, it's probably New Year's Eve if I do my right timing. So 2024 is in the books. We'll be hitting 2025 and we'll see what Star House brings. So again, this is Matt with Interactive Herald and BTH. Take us out.
All right, man. Thank you, Oni, Ooster, and Mud. Please subscribe to Matt Intergalactic Herald. Hit that like button too so he knows that you enjoyed this video, man. I love you guys all. We'll talk to you in the next one. Later.
Later. Happy 2025.
All right.